Chapter 814 Essence Spirit Secret Skill. Chapter 814 Essence Spirit Secret Skill. The scarlet-haired spirit hovered in midair without any weight. Su Zimo leaped down from the stone slab and walked towards a cave not far away. The black-haired essence spirit controlled his body and hid in the cave temporarily. That could potentially save him from some trouble. The black-haired essence spirit continued to cultivate, while the scarlet-haired spirit vanished in a flash, headed towards the depths of Howling Moon Mountain. Without the shackles of the physical body, the essence spirit was closer connected to heaven and earth. It faced significantly less resistance traveling through the air and was extremely fast, moving 1,000 kilometers instantly. In reality, if Su Zimo wanted to explore the territory of Howling Moon Mountain himself, he would require at least 3 days and nights. However, with the speed of the scarlet-haired spirit, he could check out Howling Moon Mountain entirely with a single night. Shadows of trees passed by him in a fleeting manner. With the protection of the dragon scales, the scarlet-haired spirit shuttled through the forest freely and roamed the world with an indescribable freedom. Su Zimo followed the map in his hands and gradually closed into the center of Howling Moon Mountain. That was the resting ground of the Howling Moon Mountain Territorial Lord. Under normal circumstances, be it the spirit or a nascent soul realm essence spirit, either were strong enough to carry physical objects. The spirit could not even lift something as light as a goose feather, let alone this map. However, with the dragon scales, the scarlet-haired spirit could lift light objects such as the map of Howling Moon Mountain. Su Zimo was shocked. The mystic classic of the 12 demon kings of the great wilderness was truly strong. Although the black-haired essence spirit cultivated the Purple Thunder Manual and Great Day Rulai Sutra, 2 top-tier cultivation techniques of the immortal and Buddhist Taoists, it could not roam the world, let alone lift physical objects. However, the spirit section from the mystic classic of the 12 demon kings of the great wilderness alone could achieve it. The spirit section came from the Ocean Dragon King. In other words, even the dragon race of Tianhuang mainland might not be able to surpass Su Zimo's in terms of their spirit refinement legacy. 2 hours later, Su Zimo was close to the core of Howling Moon Mountain. In order to avoid detection, the speed of the scarlet-haired spirit gradually slowed down. There were evidently more fiend demons around the vicinity. However, none of the fiend demons noticed Su Zimo's presence. Firstly, most of them were cultivating and were hardly distracted. Secondly, the scarlet-haired spirit was merely the size of a thumb and was extremely fast. Even if somebody caught a momentary glimpse of it, they would have thought that they were seeing things and thought nothing of it. Thirdly, although Su Zimo had just advanced to the nascent soul realm, his scarlet-haired spirit was already much stronger than the essence spirits of other fiend demons since it could roam the world. With that, it was even more difficult for those fiend demons to notice Su Zimo. That was also why it was so powerful for the essence spirit to be able to leave one's body. Low-level fiend demons would hardly realize that they were being spied on at the side. Su Zimo continued advancing and his speed slowed down. He could clearly feel that there were 2 fiend demons cultivating at the front not far away. The Dharmic power fluctuation around them was extremely strong and surpassed the other fiend demons. There were 2 mid-level fiend demons. Su Zimo paused in his tracks and hid himself without advancing. If he was not wrong, the 2 mid-level fiend demons should be the Howling Moon Territorial Lord, Black Wolf, and his deputy, Chan Ri. The 2 of them were mid-level fiend demons, and could use their essence spirits to roam. Su Zimo hid himself carefully far away, not wanting to alarm the 2 of them. All of a sudden, Black Wolf stood up with an imposing aura. He hollered with a fervent gaze, "Who is there? How dare you spy on Howling Moon Mountain? Not good, I've been discovered." Su Zimo was alarmed. There's no wonder why he's the Howling Moon Territorial Lord. Indeed, he's capable. To think that he can even sense me despite how far I'm hiding here. Su Zimo was prepared to flee the moment the thought crossed his mind. Since he was exposed, it was useless for him to linger any longer. Instead, he would be in danger, and it would be difficult for him to get away. Right then, a gentle breeze blew and 3 faint, glowing essence spirits flew into the air from the forest not far away. Initially, Suzumo wanted to leave. However, he paused in his tracks when he saw that. To think that there were other essence spirits spying in the darkness. The 3 essence spirits were in the shape of bats. The fact that they could roam to this spot meant that they were void reversion essence spirits. One of the essence spirits said in an odd manner, "Howling Moon Mountain, you've got some capabilities indeed. To think that you were able to spot us. Humph, we'll pay you a visit another day." Before that sentence was completed, the 3 essence spirits sped into the distance and tried to escape in time. "What can you run to?" Black Wolf roared and his glabella shone, releasing a terrifying spirit consciousness that formed a murderous wolf in midair. The wolf arrived instantly before an essence spirit, devouring the latter in a single chomp. "Black Wolf, you The essence spirit could not dodge in time and shrieked before he could complete his sentence. Suzumo was secretly alarmed and his heart skipped a beat. Black Wolf's attack was a killing move targeted at essence spirits. It was even stronger and frightening than a spirit consciousness attack. Spirit consciousness attacks were the most ordinary offensive means at the void reversion realm. Some mid-level fiend demons or void reversions get the chance to cultivate secret skills for their essence spirits that could condense their spirit consciousnesses and in turn create attacks that were extremely lethal with concentrated strength. Secret skills for essence spirits were extremely rare, and the major sects kept everything to themselves. In the Yang Spirit section of the Mystic Classic of the 12 Demon Kings of the Great Wilderness, there was a secret skill from the Desolate Ocean Dragon King for the Essence Spirit. Unfortunately, the text of the Yang Spirit section was incomprehensible. It seemed like an ancient language from the dragon race, and it was the same for the secret skill. Of course, Suzumo had not cultivated to that level and was not qualified to cultivate the Essence Spirit secret skill. Previously, it was clear that the young master of Black Sand Ridge did not know any Essence Spirit secret skills. If he had released an Essence Spirit secret skill, Suzumo might not have been able to defend against it even with the fusion of his Essence Spirits. Although the Bat Essence Spirit was extremely fast, the secret skill of Black Wolf's Essence Spirit traveled at an even faster speed and devoured the Bat Essence Spirit. The Essence Spirit of a mid-level fiend demon left its body and roamed here. To think that it would die in Black Wolf's hands without the chance to even return to its body. Wyrm! Chanri struck. A tremendous spirit consciousness gathered and 2 curved blades appeared in midair all of a sudden, shimmering coldly and thin as cicada wings. It was another Essence Spirit secret skill. The 2 curved blades descended onto another Essence Spirit that was escaping and weaved across one another. The Bat Essence Spirit was sliced by the sabers and perished on the spot. In the blink of an eye, the Essence Spirits of 2 void reversions perished. Naturally, an Essence Spirit had to face immense danger upon leaving its body. It was even more dangerous when they were spying on a Territorial Lord. The 2 Territorial Lords of Howling Moon Mountain attacked and killed off 2 Essence Spirits cleanly. However, the 3rd Bat Essence Spirit seized the opportunity to flee far away. Black Wolf, Chanri, don't get cocky now! The sound of the Bat Essence Spirit echoed from far away. Howling Moon Mountain is about to be doomed. Let's see how much longer you can continue to be smug. The voice grew increasingly distant, and eventually went silent. Suzumo hid where he was motionlessly. If the 2 Territorial Lords of Howling Moon Mountain noticed him and released their Essence Spirit secret skills, his scarlet-haired spirit would definitely be severely injured even with the protection of the dragon's scales. Chapter 8:15 Danger in Howling Moon Mountain. Chapter 8:15 Danger in Howling Moon Mountain. Although the Essence Spirit could roam the world upon leaving the body and travel at 1,000 kilometers in an instant, if it was severely injured, it would result in the death of the body. There was no return. In the blink of an eye, 2 mid-level fiend demons had perished here. The 3 mid-level fiend demons must not have expected the 2 Territorial Lords of Howling Moon Mountain to discover their presence. Less than that, they did not expect the 2 Territorial Lords to be this ruthless and cultivated Essence Spirit secret skills. A single attack from both of them killed off 2 Essence Spirits. Su Zimo was secretly alarmed when he witnessed everything. Thankfully, he came to check things out and understood the situation. Otherwise, he might have taken a huge loss if he took on the two Territorial lords. Although they were all mid-level fiend demons, the strength of the two Territorial lords of Howling Moon Mountain were far superior to the young master of Black Sand Ridge. The massive battle ended instantly. As though they no longer had any mood to cultivate, Black Wolf and Chan re-exchanged glances in silence. There was a hint of worry on their faces. Su Zimo was puzzled. Although it was a clear victory, why did it seem like they had lost? When he recalled the statement left by the mid-level fiend demon, he realized that things might not be as simple as they seemed. Black Wolf said with a grim expression, "Cyclone Cave can't hold it back any longer. To think that they sent 3 mid-level fiend demons to spy on us. Thankfully, I noticed their presence, or the 2 of us might be killed if they took the first move. Actually, the Territorial Lord of Cyclone Cave is still cautious of us. Otherwise, he would not have sent people to come and spy on us first," Chanri deduced. Black Wolf shook his head. "We can still fight if it's only Cyclone Cave. However, that's not the only threat to Howling Moon Mountain. There's also Black Sand Ridge and Ghastly River," Chanri continued. "That's right." Black Wolf sighed. "Those 3 territories have their sights on us. I'm afraid Howling Moon Mountain won't be able to get through this ordeal. What I'm most afraid of is if they form an alliance." Chanri remained silent with a heavy heart. At that point, Su Zimo had already obtained quite a bit of useful information. When he saw the Territorial lords in an uneasy mood, he knew that it was a rare opportunity and left carefully and silently, exiting the region soon after. Not long after Su Zimo left, Black Wolf suddenly frowned and said in a deep voice, "Earlier on, apart from the 3 of them from Cyclone Cave, there seemed to be someone else was spying on us." "Ah?" Chanri froze for a moment. Black Wolf continued, "It was an intermittent feeling and I'm not entirely sure either." "Was it from Black Sand Ridge?" Chanri asked. "Not likely." Black Wolf shook his head. "In this period of time, the fiend demons of Black Sand Ridge are searching for a group of mysterious strangers. There's no reason for them to head here. I heard about that incident as well. The young master of Black Sand Ridge's physical body was ruined and he almost died." Chanri chuckled. "However, if they're not from Black Sand Ridge, who are they? Could it be?" Suddenly, Chanri froze and looked at Black Wolf instinctively. Their gazes met in midair and Chanri's heart skipped a beat. "That person from Ghastly River? It should be." Black Wolf nodded. "He's most likely the only one that can sneak beside us stealthily and leave without a trace. That's going to be troublesome." Chanri sighed. Su Zimo was already gone and naturally did not know that the 2 Territorial lords of Howling Moon Mountain thought of him as somebody else. At that moment, Su Zimo was in the skies soaring through the clouds as he looked down on the territory of Howling Moon Mountain to survey its terrain and listen in to the surroundings. All of a sudden, he froze and slanted his head in midair to listen carefully for a brief moment. Thereafter, his lips curled with a fake smile and a strange look flashed through his eyes. If he extended his spirit consciousness through the ground beneath him, he could clearly detect that it was not fully solid. It was interconnected with multiple tunnels to form caves one after another. Demonic chi was rich and everything eventually converged towards a massive palace. The palace was made of gold and shone brightly with an earthly aura. There were countless rats scurrying around the palace in a joyful manner. Some of the rats huffed as they carried wine. Some of the rats were off killing chicken and cows. For ordinary wild beasts such as chicken and cow, they were naturally helpless against rat demons with sentience. It was even more lively in the palace. Some of the rats turned into women that shuttled through the feast to set up fruits and delicacies. At the front of the palace, a rotund man sat high and above with a sparkling, golden crown on his head. Although he did not exude any demonic chi, he had shifty eyes and looked extremely sleazy. 2 cute women were on both sides of the rat, and they were thumping his back and kneading his thighs. He was thoroughly enjoying life. "Congratulations, Your Majesty!" A rat demon at the bottom raised a glass for a toast. The rat demon was in human form and could stand with both legs. Although he wore human attire as well, there was a long tail behind him. It was a golden core realm spirit demon. This rat demon said loudly, "Your Majesty, you are the first to cultivate to become a fiend demon among the rat race of Howling Moon Mountain. Our race will definitely flourish in the future." "That's right, Your Majesty has an exceptional talent and managed to cultivate into a fiend demon in less than a month upon returning from the ancient battlefield." "Amazing!" Some other rat demons chimed in at the sides. "Ha ha!" The rat at the front of the palace beamed widely such that his eyes could barely be seen. He raised his glass heartily and declared, "Everyone drink up! Drink to your heart's fill! Pfft, Rat King, you sure are amazing!" Suddenly, he heard a mocking voice echo within his ears. Its tone was neither heavy nor light, and the fatty with ratty eyes was the only one that heard the voice in the noisy palace. Who's there?" The fatty with ratty eyes was shocked. Somebody managed to close into him without him realizing it? The fatty with ratty eyes was expressionless, and his glabella shone as he released his spirit consciousness to survey the direction of the voice. His spirit consciousness surged over, and he discovered a figure the size of a thumb in a corner behind him. It had shoulder-length scarlet hair, was lined with scales throughout its body, and its appearance could not be seen clearly. "Psst!" The Rat King gasped and was shocked. Instantly he broke out in cold sweat, and his wrist trembled so badly that he spilled more than half of the wine in his cup. Although he did not know who this intruder was, he knew that only a mid-level fiend demon could send an essence spirit out of their body. "Follow me, don't make a fuss." The scarlet-haired essence spirit's voice was cold and emotionless. In a flash, it vanished into the darkness. The fatty with ratty eyes grumbled internally. In Howling Moon Mountain, only the two territorial lords could roam with their essence spirits. However, he knew that the essence spirits of the two territorial lords did not look like this. In other words, this mid-level fiend demon was not someone from Howling Moon Mountain. He would most likely die if he followed this man. However, if he did not, this essence spirit was enough to kill him as well. If he implicated his entire race here because of this, they would die for nothing. At that thought, the fatty with ratty eyes squeezed out a faint, bitter smile. He pushed away the two women beside him and said with a tragic courage, "Everyone, please continue. I am too drunk to carry on, so I'll make a move first." Chapter 8:16 Three Great Territories. Chapter 8:16 Three Great Territories. The Rat King slumped his head in despair the moment he left the tunnels. The scarlet-haired essence spirit before him flickered faintly but did not go too far. The Rat King did not dare to escape either, and could merely follow along, sighing constantly in misery. "Sigh to think that I would meet with something like this the moment I cultivate to become a fiend demon. The heavens sure are jealous of the talented. Is this mid-level fiend demon from Cyclone Cave or Black Sand Ridge? What a bummer. I'm not even a protector of Howling Moon Mountain, why did it come to look for me?" The Rat King was uneasy and fearful the entire journey. After an hour, the scarlet-haired essence spirit at the front stopped. "Go on inside." The scarlet-haired essence spirit pointed to a cave not far away and said indifferently. The Rat King felt that the voice sounded familiar. However, he was completely overwhelmed by fear at that moment, and could not think properly. The cave before him seemed like the gigantic mouth of a desolate, gargantuan beast, and he was sending himself into death's gates. "Heis!" The Rat King sighed again and grit his teeth, entering the cave reluctantly. The cave was not big and could be seen in its entirety with a mere glance. Although the light within was dim, the Rat King that was now a fiend demon was almost unaffected. There were 5 people in the cave. They dressed like human cultivators. However, with his sharp senses, the Rat King could vaguely guess that the 5 of them were fiend demons in human forms. Among the 5 of them, some laid down on the ground with one leg crossed against the other lazily, some sat properly while some stood in silence. For some unknown reason, all of them looked at him with odd gazes. The Rat King felt his scalp prickle from their gazes and did not know what to do. Right at the front, a scarlet-haired cultivator sat in a lotus position with his eyes closed. Suddenly, the muscles on the face of the cultivator twitched and his appearance changed significantly. Why you? The Rat King's eyes widened as he looked at everything in disbelief. The face of the scarlet-haired man was exactly the same as the green-robed man who created a ruckus in Howling Moon Mountain more than a month ago. The 5 of them were naturally Suzumo's group. Why you guys? The Rat King recognized Suzumo's group and instantly hopped as he exclaimed. Are you guys insane? To think you would dare to return? Why wouldn't we? Monkey sneered. If the 5 of us are together, we have no fear even if we are barging into a dragon's pool or tiger's lair. Howling Moon Mountain is nothing. That's not the case. The Rat King waved it off and explained, sweating profusely. Don't assume that you can come back and seek revenge now that you've broken through and become fiend demons. You have to understand that even among fiend demons, there are different levels. Only mid-level fiend demons can become territorial lords. Their essence spirits can roam into the world and travel 1,000 kilometers in an instant. Suddenly, the Rat King's voice froze. He witnessed something. The scarlet-haired essence spirit that entered with him transformed into a scarlet streak of light in a flash and flew into Suzumo's glabella. Suzumo stood up with a humoring smile. The Rat King's mouth was agape and his eyeballs popped out. How is this possible? Aren't you? The Rat King wanted to ask how Suzumo's essence spirit could roam when he was a low-level fiend demon. However, his mind was in a mess at the moment, and he could not speak coherently. Don't be nervous. Suzumo walked over and patted the Rat King on the shoulder with a gentle smile. I don't have any ill intentions inviting you here. The conflict that happened in Howling Moon Mountain earlier on was not your fault either. Furthermore, it was all thanks to your map that we were able to leave Howling Moon Mountain later on. The Rat King heaved a long sigh of relief upon hearing that and plopped down onto the ground. Unknowingly, he was already drenched in sweat. There were many things he did not know about this person before him. However, he knew that this was somebody who placed a clear distinction between gratitude and hatred. That statement already guaranteed that the Rat King's life would not be harmed. Brothers, why have you looked for me? When the Rat King composed himself a while later, he took the initiative to ask. Suzumo said, I want to find out about some things from you. Suddenly, the Rat King revealed a cautious expression as his eyes roved around Suzumo's group. After a lengthy consideration, he said, Pardon me for being straightforward, brothers, but the reason why I saved you guys earlier on was out of guilt. However, if you wish to make use of me to harm Howling Moon Mountain, I cannot agree to it. Suzumo replied indifferently. Howling Moon Mountain is facing threats from everywhere and is about to fall. There's no need for us to make a move. What do you mean by that? The Rat King blinked. Black Sand Ridge, Cyclone Cave, Ghastly River. Slowly, Suzumo gave the 3 names. The 3 names belonged to the 3 territories around Howling Moon Mountain. The Rat King remained silent, but his expression shifted slightly. Suzumo said, You are updated with the news, and I'm sure you must already know of the motives those 3 territories have towards Howling Moon Mountain. If they form an alliance, Howling Moon Mountain will cease to exist. Suzumo obtained most of the information eavesdropping earlier on, and was able to come to this conclusion with some slight deduction. The Rat King sighed gently and gave a bitter smile. Even without an alliance, if one of those territories attacked, Howling Moon Mountain won't be able to withstand it. Tell me, what do you know about the 3 territories? Suzumo asked. The Rat King replied. Actually, just by looking at the map, you can tell that the 3 territories are stronger than Howling Moon Mountain. He was not wrong. On the map, the area occupied by Howling Moon Mountain was the smallest and was in between the 3 territories. The Rat King continued. There are only 2 mid-level fiend demons in Howling Moon Mountain, the 2 territorial lords. However, from what I know, there are at least 5 mid-level fiend demons in Cyclone Cave and Black Sand Ridge. Ghastly River is the most mysterious, and nobody knows how many mid-level fiend demons there are. However, it is widely acknowledged that they are the strongest. That's because the Territorial Lord of Ghastly River is a Wyrm. At that point, the Rat King turned towards Suzumo's group instinctively. Unlike what he expected, none of them seemed shocked or taken aback. Suzumo and the other four were way too calm, as though they had just heard something extremely ordinary. Are the five of them having a delayed reaction? The Rat King thought to himself and cleared his throat before elaborating with emphasis. The Wyrm is a pure-blooded ferocious beast that carries a remnant bloodline from the dragon race within its body. Although slim, it has a chance of cultivating into a true dragon. Oh, the group of five replied expressionlessly. To begin with, Suzumo was now half a dragon and would naturally not bother about an existence like the Wyrm. Monkey and the others had fought against the Rakshasa race of the primordial 9 races. As such, their perspective on things was not something ordinary demon beasts could compare to. The Rat King widened his eyes and puffed his cheeks, feeling an inexplicable sense of frustration. Little Fox was the first to react as she clapped her hands and exclaimed, "Wow! A pure-blooded ferocious beast! Amazing! That's way too fake!" The Rat King's mouth cramped up and he could not help but roll his eyes. Chapter 8:17 Greetings. Chapter 8:17 Greetings. Actually, when the previous Territorial Lord of Howling Moon Territorial Lord was around, he could suppress Black Sand Ridge, Cyclone Cave and Ghastly River with his strength. The Rat King continued. However, during an expedition outside, he met with a strong foe and was severely injured. His physical body was destroyed and he managed to return with his essence spirit, but he did not live for long thereafter. The current Howling Moon Territorial Lord is the remaining bloodline of the previous Territorial Lord. Throughout these years, the reason why Howling Moon Mountain was not overtaken was because Black Sand Ridge, Cyclone Cave and Ghastly River were wary of one another, and had their own plans respectively. Suzumo nodded. The 3 territories were also worried that they might lose out if they were embroiled in battle with Howling Moon Mountain. That was why they had not attacked. However, if the 3 territories came to a common understanding, Howling Moon Mountain would be on the brink of destruction. "Brothers, why have you guys returned?" The Rat King's eyes darted around as he probed. The Spirit Tiger raised his chin and declared proudly, "We've naturally returned to take over the place and replace the current Territorial Lords." Bullshit. The Rat King pouted his lips slightly and sneered in his mind. In his opinion, the Spirit Tiger was definitely spouting nonsense. They must be dreaming if they thought that a few low-level fiend demons could take over an entire territory. "You don't believe us?" Monkey walked over and lifted the Rat King up by the shoulders, smirking. "I do." The Rat King shuddered and replied hurriedly with a smile. Monkey smirked even deeper. "Since you do, help us then. We're lacking in manpower, and you do seem like someone who knows what's good for you." The Rat King lamented internally but could only force himself to reply, "Well, I'm indebted to the previous Territorial Lord and the current Territorial Lord is nice to me as well. Suddenly, a thought crossed the Rat King's mind. "Brothers, you are actually not at fault for everything that happened previously. I can clarify the matter in front of the Territorial Lord. Now that you guys are already fiend demons, given your capabilities, there's definitely a chance for you guys to become protectors of Howling Moon Mountain." "All right." Suddenly, Suzumo spoke. "We'll trouble you then." All right." The Rat King patted himself on the chest and declared loudly, "Don't worry, everyone, I'll try my best to help you guys plead for mercy. Our Territorial Lord is a wise man and will definitely not be calculative over what happened previously." Suzumo nodded. "All right, you can head back." The Rat King froze slightly. They were letting him off just like that? He had not expected everything to proceed so smoothly. The Rat King froze for a brief moment but snapped out of it swiftly. He said with cupped fists, "Brothers, please wait here for my favorable reply. I'll return as soon as I can." He turned and left the cave, vanishing into the darkness before long. First, we're letting him off just like that. The spirit tiger scratched his head and said in a deep voice, "This rat seems shifty and dishonest. What if he brings a group of people and encircles us instead?" Suzimo replied pensively, "Let's see what their decision will be." 10 days later. Within the cave, Suzimo, who was originally in quiet meditation, opened his eyes and a divine flash of light flickered briefly. Before long, Monkey, the spirit tiger, and Monkey stirred awake from their cultivations as well. "The rat is back?" Monkey's ears twitched. "He seems to be the only one." Suzimo nodded and rose with a look of relief in his eyes. Although he did not know what the Territorial Lords thought, he knew that the rat did not backstab them at the very least. Before long, the Rat King burrowed into the cave and rubbed his palms with a huge grin. Thankfully, things worked out well. "Brothers, follow me to meet the Territorial Lord." "All right." Suzimo agreed to it. "Amazing!" the Rat King praised. "Brothers, don't think too much about it. After all, the position of a protector is dignified, and the Territorial Lord wishes to meet you guys in person before he can make the decision." "That's for sure." Suzimo nodded. Thereafter, Suzimo's group of 5 left the cave with the Rat King and headed to the center of Howling Moon Mountain. With the lead of the Rat King, their journey was mostly without obstacles despite some slight dangers. Before long, they arrived at a cave in the center of Howling Moon Mountain. The spirit tiger and little fox were extremely curious, and looked all around them the entire journey. Suzimo's expression was calm. His essence spirit roamed to this place 10 days ago, so everything was not new to him. "Brothers, follow me." The Rat King led the way into the cave, and Suzimo's group of 5 followed close behind to enter. The moment they entered the cave, their vision lit up. The cave abode was extremely spacious, and gigantic pearls the size of fists were adorned on the walls on all 4 corners. They shone brightly and looked majestic. The spirit tiger's eyes lit up, and he wished that he could take off all the night luminance beads and keep them for himself. "Insolent!" Suddenly, a voice hollered. Everyone turned towards the voice. Not far away at the front, a black-faced burly man sat in a crude position in the manor. He was expressionless as he gazed at them. Suzimo had seen this person before and naturally knew that this was Howling Moon Mountain's Territorial Lord Black Wolf. A lady with a white shawl sat at the bottom left of Black Wolf quietly without raising her head at all. This was Howling Moon Territorial Lord's Deputy Territorial Lord, Chan Rui. However, either of them were the ones that hollered earlier on. A muscular man stood behind Black Wolf. His eyes resembled bronze bells, and he was burly and muscular at more than 10 feet tall. Bronze-colored muscles that resembled rocks bulged up one after another on his exposed arms. The burly man shouted again with a rumbling aura. "Why aren't you guys heading over to greet the 2 Territorial Lords?" The Rat King said softly in a flustered manner. "That's the leader of Howling Moon Mountain's protectors, Bronze Bull, and he's the strongest in combat. Brothers, it's best not to offend him." Monkey had a proud expression and pouted his lips. Suzimo's group of 5 did not move. Bronze Bull's gaze froze up and he was angered. Right as he was about to flare up, Black Wolf that sat at the front waved it off. Bronze Bull panted heavily and endured it for the time being. However, he glared at Suzimo's group of 5 with an unfriendly expression. The moment Suzimo's group of 5 entered the cave abode, Black Wolf had been sizing them up with a frightening gaze. He was a mid-level fiend demon and a territorial lord. The aura and might of his presence was so powerful that ordinary demon beasts wouldn't be able to withstand it. Most of them would kneel on the ground and take the initiative to greet him. However, he could not see any bit of fear from the faces of the 5 people before him. Even though they were up against 2 territorial lords. Even though they were facing 2 mid-level fiend demons. It was especially the case for the scarlet-haired man leading them. This man had a composed expression and calm gaze without any bit of uneasiness, and even dared to meet Black Wolf's gaze. Interesting. Black Wolf laughed internally. Even Chanri raised her head and took a special glance at Suzimo. "You dare to come knocking on my doors even after killing 2 of my protectors? Aren't you afraid I'll kill all of you?" A moment later, Black Wolf spoke slowly with a bright gaze. Instantly, the atmosphere turned murderous. Before Su Zimo could react, the Rat King was the first to be startled and said hurriedly, "Territorial Lord, didn't we agree earlier to let bygones be bygones?" "Why you?" Black Wolf had a cold gaze and said coolly, "I'm reneging on my words." "You have an issue with that?" The Rat King was speechless, and sweat rolled down his forehead profusely. Chapter 8:18 What rights do you have? Chapter 8:18 What rights do you have? Instantly, the tension in the cave abode became repressive. A murderous aura spread. Bronze Bull twisted his neck and smirked sinisterly at Su Zimo's group. A single order from Black Wolf was all he needed to lunge forward. Chan Rui did not raise her head and said nothing the entire time. However, unknowingly, two curved sabers as thin as cicada wings had appeared in her hands. They were almost transparent and exuded a frosty aura. Black Wolf was silent and glared at Su Zimo fixedly. To his surprise, even after he revealed his clear killing intent, this man was still expressionless the entire time. His eyes resembled a deep ocean that was totally unmoved. "Aren't you afraid?" Black Wolf raised his brow. Su Zimo merely smiled nonchalantly. "If you wish to kill us, why would you need to lure us here?" "All right." Suddenly, the killing intent on Black Wolf's face dissipated and he nodded with a faint smile. "Everything aside, the fact that you dare to come to my cave abode, that boldness alone triumphs every other protector of Howling Moon Mountain." The Rat King was stunned. Bronze Bull was equally stumped. Su Zimo was the only one with a calm expression, as though he had expected this. "I heard about everything that happened previously. Although my fiend demons were in the wrong previously, you still killed many demons and 2 protectors under my lead," Black Wolf said with a deep voice. "You can be a protector of Howling Moon Mountain, but bear in mind that you carry a sin, so you will have to give your best in the future. That's for sure." Before Su Zimo could reply, the Rat King chimed in with a wide beam. "Territorial Lord, isn't this a little too hasty?" Bronze Bull was indignant and glanced askance at Su Zimo's group as he could not help but say, "This man has clearly just broken through and looks so young. How experienced can he be? The status of a protector is extraordinary. No matter what, you've got to test out his skills first. Shall I play with you?" The moment there was the possibility of a fight, Monkey's eyes lit with a scarlet glint as he hopped out right away. He had only fought the fiend demons of Black Sand Ridge ever since he became a fiend demon. Unsatisfied, there was naturally no way he would let this rare opportunity slip. "Just a wild monkey like you?" Bronze Bull laughed wildly. "All of you can come at me together." Suddenly, Su Zimo spoke. "Actually, I'm not here to become a protector." "Huh?" Black Wolf raised his brows slightly and asked, "What do you want to be?" Su Zimo's gaze shone brightly as he said in a slow manner, "What I want to be is Howling Moon Mountain's Territorial Lord." The moment he said that, the cave abode went completely silent. The Rat King's eyes widened with a stricken expression. Goodness, has he gone mad? A low-level fiend demon actually wants to challenge a Territorial Lord? "It's over, it's over. I'm going to die because of you." Chan Rui raised her head and looked at Su Zimo seriously for the first time, as though she wanted to see through him. Black Wolf narrowed his eyes and they shone violently. Although he remained motionless, a dangerous aura exuded from him that was way more frightening than the one earlier on. This time round, his killing intent was truly triggered. "Brazen!" Bronze Bull's eyes widened as he leaped and charged towards Su Zimo with a holler. "How dare you act like a punk before me? Die!" Su Zimo was motionless against the incoming Bronze Bull. A shadow darted out from beside him. Monkey had already leaped forward. He raised his fist and his flesh expanded. As though it formed a gigantic seal in midair, he punched towards Bronze Bull's fist violently. Boom! There was a deafening sound. Bronze Bull gave a deep grunt and was actually sent flying. Monkey staggered a few steps back and shrugged his arm as he reared his head in laughter. "What a great feeling! Once more!" The Rat King's eyes widened and he nearly bit his tongue. Bronze Bull was the leader of Howling Moon Mountain's protectors and had the greatest strength. No fiend demon could match him head-on. To think that this monkey that had just cultivated to a fiend demon was able to take Bronze Bull head-on without being disadvantaged. Furthermore, the Rat King knew Monkey was not the strongest in combat within the group. It was the scarlet-haired man. Could that man really be able to? A thought crossed the Rat King's mind that startled him. Immediately after, he denied it himself and lamented internally, impossible. Absolutely impossible. No matter how strong he is in combat, there's no way he can threaten the Territorial Lord. Black Wolf did not move and merely watched Suzumo. In reality, his spirit consciousness was already spread and was surveying the activity in the radius of 5 kilometers. In his opinion, it was impossible for the 5 low-level fiend demons before him to attempt to overthrow his position as a Territorial Lord. It was a complete joke. However, there was nothing unusual in the vicinity. There wasn't even any slight activity. With a darkened face, Black Wolf asked deeply, "Speak, who sent you?" In his opinion, Suzumo's composure was definitely because he had backing that most likely came from Black Sand Ridge, Cyclone Cave, or Ghastly River. "Black Wolf, you're thinking too much." Suzumo smiled with a deep gaze and said idly, as though he had read Black Wolf's thoughts, "I'm not from Black Sand Ridge, Cyclone Cave, or even Ghastly River. It's just the 5 of us brothers here." Black Wolf grinned as well, revealing a row of sharp, pearly white fangs. "Interesting. The 5 of you think that you're enough to overthrow me?" Suzumo replied. "Actually, there's no need for you to be hostile towards me." "Ha ha!" As though he had heard the greatest joke in the world, Black Wolf released a thunderous laugh. "You came knocking at my door to provoke me and yet you expect me not to be hostile?" Suzumo nodded and said matter-of-factly, "That's because I'm saving and helping you at the same time by becoming the Territorial Lord of Howling Moon Mountain." "What do you mean?" Black Wolf retracted his smile and asked expressionlessly. "Black Sand Ridge, Cyclone Cave, and Ghastly River has coveted Howling Moon Mountain for a long time. If they form an alliance, Howling Moon Mountain will be destroyed instantly," Suzumo said indifferently. "From what I know, Cyclone Cave has been itching to make a move. A few days ago, they even sent a few fiend demons to spy, but 2 of them were killed by you." Black Wolf's expression changed and his eyes flashed with a hint of disbelief. Most of the fiend demons of Howling Moon Mountain knew about the matter involving Black Sand Ridge, Cyclone Cave, and Ghastly River. However, he and Chanrui were the only ones who knew about what happened that night. How did this man find out? Instinctively, Black Wolf turned to Chanrui. In fact, faint suspicions towards Chanrui even surfaced. Chanrui had a clear gaze and looked back at Black Wolf without avoiding before shaking her head. Instantly, the doubts in Black Wolf's heart vanished. After a moment of silence, he said, "The 3 territories are forming an alliance to overthrow me and you're the same. What's the difference between you guys? Saving me? Helping me? What a joke!" "Of course it will be different," Suzumo said. "First, I won't take your life if I become the Territorial Lord of Howling Moon Mountain. Second, Howling Moon Mountain will survive." Black Wolf remained silent. Those 2 points were indeed important. He had a deep grudge with the 3 territories and he would definitely die if they were to form an alliance. Howling Moon Mountain would cease to exist as well, split up by the 3 territories. "As for how I'm going to save and help you, that's even easier to explain," Suzumo smiled. "I'll become the Territorial Lord of Howling Moon Mountain and will naturally take over the matter of defending against the 3 territories. All you have to do is assist me. All right, everything is clear. Right now, there's only a single question left." Slowly, Black Wolf rose with a torrential ferocity as he glared at Suzumo and sneered. "What rights do you have?" Chapter 8:19 1 verses 2. Chapter 8:19 1 verses 2. Boom! Victory was already decided on the other side of the battlefield, accompanied by a loud boom. Although Bronze Bull had reverted to his true form, Monkey pinned him fiercely into the ground by grabbing his horns, creating a huge pit. Bronze Bull's face was filled with blood and was smashed into a complete mess, almost fainting. Monkey had a frightening bloodline and his combat strength was only inferior to Suzumo and Night Spirit within the 7 sworn siblings. In his berserk state, Monkey was even able to take on the Rakshasa race. He had only just cultivated his essence spirit, and was at early stage nascent soul realm. Although Bronze Bull was a late stage nascent soul, a major cultivation realm above Monkey, he was not a match for the latter and was defeated in less than a dozen breaths. Monkey did not kill Bronze Bull and leaped back the moment he secured victory. Bronze Bull struggled to stand up with a twisted expression as he panted. Demonic chi surged around him and he growled deeply. He was almost out of his mind and wanted to charge forward once more. "Back down!" Black Wolf's voice sounded with a cold authority. "Aren't you done with making a fool of yourself?" Bronze Bull shuddered as though he had just been drenched with a bucket of ice water. Gradually, he sobered up and backed off to the side despite his indignance. Black Wolf's gaze was fixed on Suzumo the entire time as he said slowly with a cold expression. "Tell me, what rights do you have? The 5 of you alone aren't qualified to take on my position." "We're enough." Suzumo smiled. The moment he said that, Suzumo's figure flashed and he struck the Territorial Lord of Howling Moon Mountain all of a sudden. Moreover, he took on 2 people with his attack and engulfed Black Wolf and Chan-Ri within. Such guts! Black Wolf was enraged and felt his vision blur the moment he said those 2 words. A torrential might gushed towards him in a deafening manner. The pressure was suffocating. Although he was a mid-level fiend demon, the envelopment of the power felt slightly unbearable still. It was too fast. The 2 of them were not too far apart to begin with, and Suzumo had already closed in instantly. In fact, Black Wolf thought that he was hallucinating. He seemed to have heard the sound of tsunamis that shook his mind. "What's this demonic art? It's making me hallucinate." He turned his gaze and saw Suzumo circled by blood chi with rumbling demonic chi. However, there were no traces of Dharmic power. Wait, it's not a hallucination. The sound of tsunami is real. In a flash, Black Wolf sobered up and thought of a possibility as he exclaimed, "Tsunami blood!" Although demons placed emphasis on the cultivation and quality of one's bloodline, only few of them could cultivate to the realm of tsunami blood. Black Wolf did not have time to take out any weapons and could only prop up his arms in defense. Bang! Suzumo's fist struck the intersection where Black Wolf's arms crossed and the dull sound of defeat echoed. Ugh! Black Wolf grunted and staggered in retreat, his arm's hand gone completely numb. However, Suzumo did not retreat at all and even had strength remaining to fight Chan-Rui. Black Wolf was shocked. He was a mid-level fiend demon and a territorial lord, a full major cultivation realm higher than this person before him. He had many years more to temper his body using Dharmic powers as well. Even so, his bloodline and physique could not defend against the charge of this person. What a terrifying burst power! On the other side, Chan-Ri burst in retreat. Thankfully, she had already withdrawn her Dharmic weapons before this and wielded them in her hands. Suzumo charged over and Chan-Ri's eyes squinted slightly. With a tremble, her curved sabers cut an arc through the air, creating 2 cold beams that slit towards Suzumo's wrist instantly. The speed of the 2 slashes was extremely fast. Coupled with Suzumo's overwhelming aura and force, Chan-Ri believed that even a mid-level fiend demon won't be able to dodge. This is for the best. I'll sever one of your wrists to teach you a lesson. That was what Chan-Ri thought. Unexpectedly, Suzumo did not dodge at all. He flicked his finger gently against the 2 incoming cold beams. A few fingernails flicked out with a chilling aura and struck the 2 cold beams precisely like sharp blades. Clang! Clang! Sparks flew along with 2 crisp sounds. Chan-Ri whined and her curved sabers were repelled from her hands. Her palms had split open. The Rat King stood at the side and his beady eyes widened in disbelief. He had considered the possibility that Su Zimo's combat strength would be extraordinary. However, he had not expected Su Zimo to gain the upper hand even in a 1 versus 2 situation. Black Wolf and Chanri were mid-level fiend demons after all and regained their composure swiftly, merely flustered for a split second. Both of their figures retreated at almost the same time. "Lad, you are strong in melee combat. However, it's not enough if you intend to merely rely on that to overthrow my position as a territorial lord." Black Wolf's glabella shone and he hollered deeply. "Watch out!" No matter what, Su Zimo was formidable in melee combat. Because of that, Black Wolf regarded him as a talent and gave a warning out of goodwill, not wanting to kill Su Zimo. Swoosh! 2 powerful spirit consciousnesses engulfed the entire place with a boundless might. Only void reversions and mid-level fiend demons could release spirit consciousness attacks. If it was any other low-level fiend demon, their essence spirit would have been repressed completely in fright against the pressure of the spirit consciousness such that they would not even be able to release their Dharmic powers. However, scarlet scales appeared one after another on the body of the scarlet-haired spirit within Su Zimo's spirit consciousness. He was able to deflect the incoming spirit consciousness. He was completely unaffected even against the envelopment of the spirit consciousnesses of 2 territorial lords. "Fufu, there's no need for both of you to show mercy. I won't be taken down by a mere spirit consciousness attack." Su Zimo chuckled and dashed towards Black Wolf and Chanri in huge strides. Both Black Wolf and Chanri frowned. Neither of them wanted to kill Su Zimo. That was why they did not release their essence spirit secret skills. The killing power of essence spirit secret skills was extremely terrifying and was something that the essence spirit of low-level fiend demons could not defend against. If they could not defend against it, their essence spirits would be destroyed and they would die on the spot. However, both of them had no other choice. Roar! In midair, a terrifying spirit consciousness fluctuation burst forward. The tremendous spirit consciousness materialized into a pitch-black murderous wolf that lunged in Su Zimo's direction with an open mouth. OM! On the other side, Chanri's spirit consciousness split into 2 in midair and turned into 2 cold beams that arrived instantly. The attacks of both essence spirits had descended. Su Zimo slowed down as well with a grim expression. Those were essence spirit secret skills and could not be compared with spirit consciousness attacks. If he handled them the wrong way and his essence spirit was damaged, it might leave an injury that could not be healed. He was a low-level fiend demon at nascent soul realm after all. He did not dare to be careless against an attack of this level. Prior to this, he had only experienced the might of the 2 essence spirit secret skills once from a distance. However, that experience could not be compared to the current situation where he was directly involved. Instantly, a thought crossed Su Zimo's mind. Even if his essence spirits were to fuse and release a spirit consciousness attack, it would be difficult for him to defend against these 2 essence spirit secret skills. Chapter 820 Subdued. Chapter 820 Subdued. If Su Zimo did not understand Black Wolf and Chanri's capabilities and received essence spirit secret skills from them all of a sudden, he would have been flustered. However, prior to this, he roamed with his essence spirit and witnessed the might of their essence spirit secret skills. As such, he had already thought of a way to deal with them. With a single thought from Su Zimo, rays of golden light extended from his left wrist in a saintly and flawless manner, creating an indestructible barrier around him. Boom! Clang! Clang! In midair, when the Black Wolf materialized from spirit consciousness and the 2 curved sabers that were as thin as cicada wings slashed the barrier, a deafening boom echoed. The golden barrier trembled and a series of ripples appeared. It managed to defend against the 2 essence spirit secret skills completely. This? Black Wolf and Chanri were shocked. Ordinary Dharmic weapons could defend against Dharmic arts, normal weapons and the burst of various different powers. However, they could not defend against the power of an essence spirit. If one wanted to defend against an essence spirit secret skill, they would have to either go head-on with the power of their own essence spirit, or utilize special Essence Spirit Dharmic weapons. However, Essence Spirit Dharmic weapons were way too rare and difficult to refine. Even among the cultivation world, there were few of them, and they were even rarer than connate Dharmic weapons, let alone in the world of demons. Right now, the Golden Barrier managed to block both Essence Spirit secret skills completely. This meant that their enemy was in possession of an Essence Spirit Dharmic weapon. Furthermore, the Essence Spirit Dharmic weapon was extremely powerful. Although he was only at nascent soul realm, he was able to use that Essence Spirit Dharmic weapon to defend against their combined attacks. Both Black Wolf and Chanrui were at a loss. Indeed, Su Zimo was in possession of an Essence Spirit Dharmic weapon. This Dharmic weapon was given to him by the old monk at the bottom of the Dragon Burial Valley. It was one of the treasures that held up the Daming Monastery in the past, the Mingwang Prayer Beads. Initially, there were 6 beads for the Mingwang Prayer Beads, and they were carried around by the titular disciple of Daming Monastery at the time, Monk Daming. However, as the sands of time passed, Monk Daming's demise resulted in the scattering of the Mingwang Prayer Beads. Right now, it was incomplete with only 4 prayer beads. Even so, the 4 Mingwang Prayer Beads were not to be underestimated. At the Golden Core Realm, it was difficult for Su Zimo to control the Mingwang Prayer Beads. He could only wear it on his wrist, and use it to block the detection of spirit consciousnesses. It was only after he cultivated his essence spirit that he was able to make use of some of the Mingwang Prayer Beads' power. Of course, the true power of the Mingwang Prayer Beads would only be unleashed after he advanced to the Void Reversion Realm, and achieved higher attainments in his cultivation. Right now, the Mingwang Prayer Beads could only be used by him to defend against essence spirits. However, that was more than enough. It was sufficient to defend against the essence spirit secret skills of the 2 territorial lords. Instantly, things changed on the battlefield. The fact that Black Wolf and Chanri's essence spirit secret skills were rendered useless meant that they would have to endure Su Zimo's torrential and suffocating melee combat attacks. Bang! 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 There was a series of deafening sounds. Shadows fluttered in a dizzying manner. In less than 10 breaths, Black Wolf and Chanrui were sent flying as they smashed onto the stone walls behind them heavily, sliding down in a slow manner. Su Zimo stood opposite them not far away quietly with a clear gaze. His attire was tidy and prim, as though he had not moved at all. It was a complete defeat. Black Wolf and Chanrui had pale expressions and felt like their bones were about to split. However, they grit their teeth and did not make any sound. Both of them looked at Su Zimo with conflicted expressions. They were both smart, and could clearly sense that this man had shown mercy earlier on. Otherwise, given his capabilities, it would have been extremely to him to kill them off once he had the advantage earlier on. Suddenly, Black Wolf thought of something that sent his heart racing. If he had truly reneged on his words earlier and ordered for this man to be killed, he would have been a corpse lying on the ground at this moment. His mercy towards Su Zimo was in fact mercy for himself. In truth, Black Wolf was not far off the mark. Indeed, those were Su Zimo's intentions when he headed here. They wanted to take over as kings, but they did not have much helpers under their liege. It would naturally be for the best if they could recruit Black Wolf and Chanrui without bloodshed. Bronze Bull's eyes widened and his jaws nearly fell onto the ground. He had truly not expected this outcome for the battle. 2 territorial lords had actually lost to a low-level fiend demon that had just broken through. He would not have believed this if he had not seen it personally. Territorial lords, are you guys fine? Bronze Bull asked warily. Black Wolf waved it off and stood up. He glared at Su Zimo and said slowly, I've lost. Indeed, you are qualified to be the territorial lord of Howling Moon Mountain. However, I'm only acknowledging your potential. Black Wolf emphasized as he continued. Given your potential, nobody around here should be able to threaten you if you continue cultivating and advance to become a mid-level fiend demon. But do you right now? He did not continue. Chanrui said as well. It's not enough if you think that you can resolve the crisis of Howling Moon Mountain using the capabilities and essence spirit Dharmic weapon you revealed earlier. I've got my own plans on how to resolve the crisis of Howling Moon Mountain, Su Zimo replied nonchalantly. All you need to tell me is whether you will submit to me. The cave abode went silent. Black Wolf was undecided and had a hesitant expression. Anybody that could become territorial lords were capable characters. Now that he was suddenly asked to relinquish his position as a territorial lord and submit to others, it was definitely a truth he was struggling to accept. However, Black Wolf knew that he would be in an even worse state if the 3 territories were to come for them. Not only would he die, Howling Moon Mountain would cease to exist as well. That was something he could not accept at all. At that thought, Black Wolf gripped his fists gently and said in a deep voice, Since I've lost, I've got no objections. I'm willing to relinquish my position as a territorial lord. However, I hope that you will be able to protect Howling Moon Mountain and treat every single demon here well. Territorial Lord! Bronze Bull yelled. Black Wolf waved it off. I've already decided, there's no need to say more. All right. Su Zimo nodded and declared. From this day forth, there will be another Deputy Territorial Lord in Howling Moon Mountain, Black Wolf. Chan Rui will still be the Deputy Territorial Lord and maintain her original status. Monkey and the others were excited. This meant that from this moment forth, the 5 of them sworn siblings had a territory of their own. Black Wolf pondered for a moment and asked with cupped fists. I've yet to know your name, Territorial Lord. Also, what is your true form? To be fair, although he had already relinquished his position as a territorial lord, Black Wolf still had a tinge of indignance in his heart towards this young man. However, he felt that he could not read this person either. Even after their fight, he could not figure out what the true form of this person was. It was the same for Chan Rui. Su Zimo thought for a moment and said, You guys can call me Mo from this day forth. Mo? Black Wolf and Chan Rui murmured softly. Compared to human cultivators, demons were much more easygoing with their names. It was extremely common for single-character names as well. There were even many demon beasts such as Monkey who could not even be bothered to give themselves a name. Both of them exchanged glances and could see the confusion in the other's eyes. Although Su Zimo only replied to one of the questions, Black Wolf and Chan Rui were tactful and did not push further. Chapter 821 Dealings. Chapter 821 Dealings. The territorial lord of Howling Moon Mountain had changed. A huge stir broke out in the entire territory as the news spread swiftly. The Rat King and Bronze Bull were the only demons who witnessed the fight in the cave abode personally. Most of the other demons were confused. The only thing they knew was that their original territorial lord, Black Wolf, became a deputy territorial lord after meeting the few of them, and there was a change in the territorial lord. Everything happened way too quickly and peacefully. It was as though the owner of Howling Moon Mountain had changed overnight without any signs of enemy infiltration. No large-scale ceremony was held there after the change of territorial lord. Everything ended after a personal announcement from Black Wolf and Chan Rui. Many demons did not even know what the new territorial lord looked like. The entire affair seemed extremely fishy. I heard that there are 5 new territorial lords and they are sworn siblings. They are a group of 5 indeed, and I've even seen 4 of them before. There's a monkey, tiger, crane, and a fox. However, these 4 territorial lords are all low-level fiend demons, and their cultivation realms are only at early-stage nascent soul. Huh! How is that possible? Low-level fiend demons are now the territorial lords of Howling Moon Mountain? I heard that the boss of the 5 siblings, the lead territorial lord of Howling Moon Mountain right now, is extremely strong. He must definitely be a mid-level fiend demon. Have you seen the main territorial lord? What's his true form? No, I haven't. The main territorial lord hasn't shown himself before and is extremely mysterious. I've only heard that he is called Mo. During this period of time, there were often demons that grouped together and discussed everything excitedly. In less than 3 days, news of this spread to Black Sand Ridge, Cyclone Cave, and Ghastly River and created quite a stir as well. There was a spacious hall within the depths of a cave with a bloody and sinister aura. Within the hall, there were thin, blood threads that resembled blood vessels that hung from both sides of the walls. A man sat on the blood threads, perfectly balanced as he held a jade cup in his left hand. It was filled with a grisly red fluid that was still warm. The man raised the cup to his nose and took a deep breath, revealing an intoxicated expression with half-closed eyes. The Territorial Lord of Howling Moon Mountain has changed. Could Black Sand Ridge or Ghastly River have beaten us to it? The man murmured to himself. No. It shouldn't be anyone from those two territories. After a moment, his eyes bolted wide open with a bloody glint as he said deeply, "Go and investigate further." "Understood," a voice echoed through the chamber. Immediately after, the sound of wings flapping reverberated and a streak of blood light flew through the top of the hall within its darkness. It vanished into the distance before long. Unhurriedly, the man drank the red fluid in the cup in a single mouthful and licked his lips with a grisly red tongue. "Yes, refreshing. Black Sand Ridge." During this period of time, the demons of Black Sand Ridge had been on their toes. The young master of Black Sand Ridge lost his physical body and returned with severe injuries. However, the culprit was never apprehended. Not long after, the young master of Black Sand Ridge failed his assimilation attempt and perished completely. There were many restrictions to an essence spirit's assimilation, and it was extremely dangerous. For an assimilation to take place, the cultivation realm of the assimilated being must not be too low. He must be at the nascent soul realm at least with an unlocked spirit platform. The difference in cultivation realm between the assimilating and assimilated must not be too great either. Otherwise, if the essence spirit was overly powerful and the latter's body could not withstand it after the assimilation took place, it would explode right away. In other words, there would only be success if their cultivation realms were relatively close. In reality, an assimilation process was a fight between the essence spirits. If their cultivation realms were close, it meant that it was difficult to predict the victory of a fight between essence spirits. There were many examples of an essence spirit that was devoured instead during a failed assimilation process. That was the case for the young master of Black Sand Ridge. At the end of the day, assimilation was an evil process. That was because, in essence, an assimilation was to steal the life of others for someone to continue with theirs. It would not be overboard to deem it as an evil craft. However, most beings cultivate it for the sake of longevity. Even those of the orthodox path would resort to despicable means despite knowing that the assimilation process was evil. The Territorial Lord of Black Sand Ridge was enraged at the demise of the young master and slaughtered many demon beasts. In fact, he even murdered 2 protectors personally because they made wrong comments by accident. All the demons knew that many other demon beasts would have to die if the culprit was not apprehended. This day, a piece of news that shattered the tension in Black Sand Ridge arrived. 5 people. A monkey, a spirit tiger, an immortal crane, a fox, all of whom are low-level fiend demons. The Territorial Lord of Black Sand Ridge's eyes squinted with a cold, killing intent. If he was not wrong, there was a high chance that the 5 of them were the culprits that killed his child. To think that they've run off to Howling Moon Mountain, Fufu. The Territorial Lord of Black Sand Ridge had a menacing expression as he laughed sinisterly. "Let's see where you can run off to after I destroy Howling Moon Mountain." Ghastly River. A young man dressed in light blue luxurious robes laid on a colorful coral reef bed. He had a relaxed expression and was sipping wine when he heard the news from his underling river demon. "Oh." The young man in luxurious robes was extremely calm and merely gave a one-word reply when he heard that. "Territorial Lord, I heard that Cyclone Cave and Black Sand Ridge have been making moves recently. There's a high chance that those 2 territories are going to strike Howling Moon Mountain soon." A river demon beside the coral reef bed said in a deep voice. The man in luxurious robes waved it off. "A black scorpion and a stinky bat pose no threat at all." The river demon added, "I heard that the new Territorial Lord of Howling Moon Mountain, M.O., is extremely mysterious and had not shown himself the entire time. He must be rather capable to overthrow Black Wolf." He can't be that strong either since he's sworn siblings with 4 other low-level fiend demons, the man in luxurious robes declared proudly with a faint smile. If he is capable, I'll appreciate his talent and try to recruit him under my wing. If he's ordinary, I'll just kill him. When are you preparing to attack, Territorial Lord? The next few days, the man in luxurious robes mulled. Yes, it seems as though a treasure of sorts has appeared recently in Howling Moon Mountain in the past 2 months. We can't let others get their hands on it first. His true form was a Wyrm. There was a thin connection to the bloodline of the dragon race that flowed within his body. However, that thin connection to the dragon race's bloodline was enough for him to become the top existence among ferocious beasts. The aura of the dragon race that emanated from the direction of Howling Moon Mountain was imperceptible. Although other demon beasts may not have been able to sense it, as a Wyrm, he could vaguely sense it. At the very least, he felt shudders from that aura. It was a threat that originated from the depths of his bloodline. This aura must be from the treasure that had appeared, and it definitely had something to do with the dragon race. If I can get my hands on that treasure, my strength is bound to explode. In fact, there's a chance for me to transform into a true dragon in my lifetime. The river demon was shocked and knelt onto the ground hurriedly as he declared loudly, "Congratulations, Territorial Lord!" The man in luxurious robes rose slowly and gazed into the distance. If that day comes, even the entire 1,000-demon valley won't be able to contain me, let alone this measly ghastly river. Chapter 822 Seclusion. Chapter 822 Seclusion. The reason why Su Zimo had not appeared was not because he wanted to maintain a mysterious front. After he subdued Black Wolf and Chan Ri the other day, he sensed quite a bit of commotion in his spirit consciousness. He had to undergo seclusion. The creation Green Lotus was finally restored. The greatest benefit of having 2 essence spirits was that they could cultivate individually without affecting the other. In Howling Moon Mountain, Su Zimo used the scarlet-haired spirit as the master essence spirit most of the time, while the black-haired essence spirit continued its cultivation in a corner. Even when Su Zimo was engaging Black Wolf and Chan Ri in the cave abode, the black-haired essence spirit did not stop in its cultivation. Its never-ending and long cultivation finally brought about a reward worth celebrating. The creation Green Lotus was awakened. Su Zimo made rough preparations for most matters and headed to seclusion thereafter. He had an extremely tight schedule. Black Sand Ridge, Cyclone Cave and Ghastly River could attack Howling Moon Mountain at any moment, and it was bound to be a bitter fight. As long as he won this battle, he could establish himself properly within the 1,000-demon valley, and would no longer have to flee for his life. Su Zimo had just advanced to the nascent soul realm, and had 3 top-tier spirit refinement cultivation techniques with him. There were many things that he needed to cultivate further. As long as he had enough time, his combat strength would definitely rise at an unimaginable speed. Therefore, Su Zimo had no intention of rushing through his seclusion. Ever since he left the Dragon Burial Valley, he had fought the entire way. He overwhelmed all the paragons, obtained the number 1 spot on the phenomenon ranking, defeated Dean and suppressed 2 of the primordial 9 races in a domineering manner, all without stopping. This time round, he had to stop and enter a true seclusion so that he could consolidate everything and cultivate. After he entered the secret chamber, Su Zimo assumed a lotus position and entered his spirit consciousness with a single thought. He saw the black-haired essence spirit sitting on a green lotus platform that hovered in midair. It was filled with life and green petals had already bloomed around the lotus platform. There were a total of 9 petals. All of them were in an infancy state and were tender and soft, yet to have truly grown. There were 9 small pores on the lotus platform with lotus seeds that shone with a bright glow in them. Su Zimo could clearly sense that the creation Green Lotus was growing gradually while absorbing the power of the black-haired essence spirit. However, at the same time, Su Zimo discovered that the creation Green Lotus was also assisting his spirit refinement process. Rays of light spilled out of the 9 pores on the lotus platform and they circled around the black-haired essence spirit, refining it continuously. Under the refinement of the 9 rays of light, the black-haired essence spirit became even more powerful. In fact, it was further materialized and even showed signs of catching up to the scarlet-haired spirit. Suzumo was delighted when he sensed the changes. This must be one of the reasons why the creation Green Lotus was so mystifying. The scarlet-haired spirit originated from the dragon race and was extremely powerful. Even at the nascent soul realm, it was able to leave the physical body and roam the world outside. Although the black-haired essence spirit cultivated 2 heaven-grade cultivation techniques, the Purple Thunder Manual and Great Day Rulai Sutra, it could not reach that level yet. Now that the black-haired essence spirit obtained the refinement of the creation Green Lotus, there was also a chance for it to be able to roam the outside world even at the nascent soul realm. Of course, although the creation Green Lotus was successfully awakened, this treasure required the nourishment of the power of essence spirit and grew at an extremely slow pace. Monkey Lu once said that the creation Green Lotus could match perfected Lord Dharmic weapons once it was at grade 4. At grade 5, it could even match Connate Void Reversion Dharmic weapons. Right now, the creation Green Lotus could only be considered as grade 1 at best. Given the current speed, it would take a couple hundred years for it to grow to grade 4. Suzumo was secretly speechless. It was no wonder why this treasure was already passed around through several dozen paragons. However, most of them were burdened by it, and in the end, nobody even wanted it anymore. Even with 2 heaven-grade cultivation techniques to back the black-haired essence spirit, it still required a couple hundred years of effort. For any other cultivator, it would take them at least 1,000 years if they wanted to nurture the creation Green Lotus to grade 4. However, the lifespan of nascent souls was only 1,000 years. How could any paragon be able to spare that amount of time? Thankfully, Suzumo had the scarlet-haired spirit along with his black-haired essence spirit. The nourishment from both essence spirits at the same time meant that the creation Green Lotus would grow at an even faster speed. At the same time, the fact that Suzumo possessed 2 essence spirits meant that he could refine 2 destiny Dharmic weapons. The black-haired essence spirit's destiny Dharmic weapon was confirmed to be the creation Green Lotus. However, the scarlet-haired spirit did not have a destiny Dharmic weapon yet. Right now, Suzumo had 3 treasures with him that could be used as destiny Dharmic weapons. The Mingwang Prayer Beads, Mystic Magnet Mountain and Bronze Square Tripod. The Mingwang Prayer Beads were the foundation of Daming Monastery, and it was needless to talk about how precious they were. Unfortunately, right now, the Mingwang Prayer Beads were incomplete. Furthermore, the Mingwang Prayer Beads were from the Buddhist monasteries and it was unsuitable to refine them for the scarlet-haired spirit. The Mystic Magnet Mountain one was of the 7 great unique treasures. Although it was not a spirit weapon or a Dharmic weapon, it possessed an extraordinary and unique capability. When used appropriately, it could secure a surprise victory. However, its full potential might not be able to be unleashed if it was refined as a destiny Dharmic weapon. As for the Bronze Square Tripod, this treasure had an unknown origin, and it was battered and lined with cracks. However, Suzumo had managed to tide through quite a few predicaments after he obtained it. Everything else aside, Suzumo had never seen anything that could compare to this tripod in terms of toughness. After pondering for a long time, Suzumo decided to refine the Bronze Square Tripod. In the cave abode, he assumed a lotus position with his eyes closed. He was motionless, as though he had fallen asleep. However, in reality, within his spirit consciousness, both essence spirits cultivated at the same time and neither slacked off. While the scarlet-haired spirit was cultivating the spirit section, it was refining the Bronze Square Tripod, establishing a connection by imprinting its spirit consciousness mark on the tripod repeatedly. As the black-haired essence spirit cultivated the Purple Thunder Manual and Great Day Rulai Sutra, it was refining the creation Green Lotus as well. Among the 3 top-tier cultivation techniques, the spirit section had no Dharmic art associated with it, and was purely a spirit refinement technique. Only the Yang spirit section had a Dharmic art and an essence spirit secret skill. Both of those secret skills had an extremely high demand for the essence spirit. Furthermore, there were many incomprehensible words in the two secret skills of the Yang Spirit section, and were difficult to understand, as though they possessed boundless power. According to the records of the Yang Spirit section, the two secret skills were the most terrifying killing moves of the Desolate Ocean Dragon King. Su Zimo was slightly disappointed that he was unable to cultivate the two secret skills for the time being. The true strength of the Great Day Rulai Sutra was that in the later stage of its cultivation, one could conjure a supreme Dharma characteristic of the Buddhist monasteries, the Rulai Dharmic body. The front part of the cultivation technique focused on refining the spirit. There was an essence spirit secret skill recorded in it. Unfortunately, Su Zimo had just advanced to the nascent soul and was not at the stage where he was able to cultivate an essence spirit secret skill. The Purple Thunder Manual had a few Dharmic arts recorded in the front part. The black-haired essence spirit cultivated those Dharmic arts as it refined the creation green lotus. Day after day, the sun rose and set. In the blink of an eye, Su Zimo had spent half a year in seclusion. Within the secret chamber, a figure sat quietly. His hair turned scarlet and black from time to time, and there was an occasional streak of lightning that crackled across his body. Su Zimo was motionless for the past half a year. On the surface, it was as though nothing changed and he still wore the same set of green robes. However, if one were to close their eyes, they would be able to sense a shuddering aura within the secret chamber. It was as though an ancient grand demon was devouring the world within. Chapter 823 Demons Assembled. Chapter 823 Demons Assembled. This day, dark clouds filled the skies of Howling Moon Mountain and raging cyclones howled. A storm was approaching. Both Black Wolf and Chanri walked out from their cave abodes. They reared their heads and frowned slightly with grim expressions. Dark clouds were overcast. Both of them could sense killing intent within the rumbling dark clouds that were as black as ink. At their cultivation realm, they had a keen sense towards danger. It was like an innate instinct. "It's finally about to begin," Chanri murmured softly. Black Wolf said in a deep voice, "Relay the orders to prepare for war." "Understood." The Rat King retreated with cupped fists and vanished before long. Right then, Monkey, the Spirit Tiger, Ching Ching and Little Fox exited their seclusions as well and arrived here. Black Wolf swept his gaze across the four of them. When he did not catch sight of the person he wanted to see, he was hesitant but still could not help but remark, "The storm is approaching. Is Territorial Lord Emmo going to?" "He's in seclusion, there's no need to disturb him." Monkey waved it off. "He will naturally come forth if strong enemies truly arrive." The moment he said that, shuffling sounds could be heard from the distance. They grew clearer and clearer, as though countless ants were crawling on the ground. The ancient trees swayed and snapped one after another. Initially, the area in that distant direction was filled with lush greenery. However, as the shuffling sound approached, the greenery withered along the way. In the blink of an eye, all life was severed as trees and grass withered. "What a strong poison!" Ching Ching furrowed her brows slightly as she took a small sniff. Chanri said, "Black Sand Ridge should be here." At that moment, the demon army of Howling Moon Mountain was assembled. There were more than 10,000 golden core spirit demons and more than 50 low-level fiend demons. Black Wolf and Chanri were the only mid-level fiend demons, and they were already gathered here. Before long, the withered grass patch in the distance creeped towards them. All the demons turned over. A scorpion army was charging over in a dense patch, and everywhere they passed, life was severed, leaving nothing but barren land in their wake. Right at the front, there were 100 low-level fiend demons in human forms that stood on the black scorpions. The leader was a black-robed man with a grim expression. He reeked of a nauseating stench and was none other than the Territorial Lord of Black Sand Ridge. Behind him, there were 5 mid-level fiend demons with powerful auras. The expressions of the Howling Moon Mountain demons changed. It was clear that the strength of the Black Sand Ridge army surpassed Howling Moon Mountain. Black Wolf clenched his fists and said darkly, "Scorpion, you can't hold yourself back after all. I'm not here today for Howling Moon Mountain." The Territorial Lord of Black Sand Ridge swept his gaze coldly across Black Sand Ridge and Chan Rui. He looked straight at Monkey and the other three and asked in a frosty voice, "Did you guys kill anyone in Black Sand Ridge half a year ago?" "We did, so what?" Monkey reared his head with a prideful expression and asked instead with a sneer. "All right." The Territorial Lord of Black Sand Ridge nodded. "Since you admit to it, that will save us some trouble. Today, I'm going to have you lot accompany my son in burial." "That scorpion?" The spirit tiger frowned. "I remembered him escaping. However, he failed his assimilation later on and is now dead." The Territorial Lord of Black Sand Ridge snarled word by word with a chilling tone. The spirit tiger burst into laughter and rolled his eyes. "That's not our fault, though. He can only blame himself for being too stupid. You must have a death wish." The Territorial Lord of Black Sand Ridge grit his teeth and turned his gaze towards Black Wolf, asking coldly, "Black Wolf, if you hand the 4 of them over to me, I might consider sparing your life." Black Wolf merely shook his head with a smile without replying. There was no way out for him and Howling Moon Mountain. "I heard earlier on that there are new Territorial Lords in Howling Moon Mountain, and they are just a bunch of low-level fiend demons." "Foo-foo, I refused to believe it at first, but now, it seems like the rumors are real." Another voice sounded in midair. Immediately after, dark clouds rumbled as figures descended one after another in the vicinity. There were at least 10,000 of them, and they spread across the mountains and wilderness. The leader was a man with a skinny face. He sneered with sharp teeth and exuded a sinister aura. He was none other than the Territorial Lord of Cyclone Cave. Behind the Territorial Lord of Cyclone Cave were 7 mid-level fiend demons who possessed murderous intents. The Territorial Lord of Cyclone Cave hid his demons in the dark clouds and concealed their existence to travel along with the winds. Their sudden descent onto Howling Moon Mountain was a shocking scene. Black Wolf and Chan Rui exchanged glances. Both of them could see the shock in the other's eyes. Everything else aside, Black Sand Ridge and Cyclone Cave had the complete advantage in numbers of spirit demons and low-level fiend demons. The 2 territories also possessed an absolute edge in the number of mid-level fiend demons. Including the Territorial Lord, there were 6 mid-level fiend demons from Black Sand Ridge. Including the Territorial Lord, there were 8 from Cyclone Cave. Even if Black Wolf and Chan Rui had to fight the 2 Territorial Lords alone, they might not be able to secure victory, let alone with 12 remaining mid-level fiend demons right now. Although their new Territorial Lord Mo was strong in combat, he had just advanced to the nascent Soul Realm after all, and everybody knew that. How could he defend against the combined attacks of 12 mid-level fiend demons? Black Wolf took a deep breath and said, "Indeed, the Territorial Lords of Howling Moon Mountain have changed. It is the few of them beside me." "Ha ha!" The Territorial Lord of Cyclone Cave reared his head in wild laughter, as though he had heard the greatest joke in the world. "To think that you've given up your seat to a few low-level fiend demons. Preposterous. Amusing. Black Wolf, you sure have embarrassed your entire family." The demons of Howling Moon Mountain lowered their heads with indignant and ashamed expressions. Even the demon beasts of Howling Moon Mountain could not understand what happened, let alone outsiders. Black Wolf's expression was ashen. Indeed, the entire thing did not sound nice. He had no way of explaining things either. Was he going to have to acknowledge in front of everyone that he had lost to a low-level fiend demon? The Territorial Lord of Cyclone Cave continued. "Black Wolf, Chan Rui, either of you will survive even if you are not the Territorial Lords now. Half a year ago, the 2 of you killed 2 fiend demons under my liege. Today, I'm going to have you pay with blood." The moment he said that, the atmosphere around Howling Moon Mountain became extremely tense. A fight could break out at any moment between the 3 factions. Splash! Right then, there was a downpour. Although the rain was heavy, it could not wash away the murderous aura around the demons. Killing intent spread through the entire forest and a blood stench emanated. The clothes on the demons were drenched by the rain before long. Although bead-sized raindrops slid down their faces, nobody made a move. Any sudden motion right now could cause a huge battle. Interesting. Another voice sounded in the rain with a mocking intent. It's him. The hearts of Black Wolf, the territorial lords of Black Sand Ridge and Cyclone Cave, as well as all the mid-level fiend demons, skipped a beat as they turned towards the voice. Bang! Boom! Boom! In a valley not far away, there was a loud splash that sounded as though a torrent had burst through. A torrential current blanketed the world and surged forward with a howling force. The gigantic wave almost drowned the entire Howling Moon Mountain. The demons were shocked. Even the demon beasts of Cyclone Cave and Black Sand Ridge retreated by instinct, afraid that they might be sucked into it. However, the gigantic wave stopped all of a sudden right before it reached Howling Moon Mountain, as though it was held back by some mysterious energy. The capability to stop an apocalyptic torrent as such was even more frightening. The torrent splashed with raging tides in front of the demons. Above the largest waterspout, there was a figure with hands behind his back. He stood upright and proud with an extremely pressurizing aura. In the torrent behind him, the shadows of river demons could faintly be seen submerged within the waters. Chapter 824 Battle Commencement. Chapter 824 Battle Commencement. It was the territorial lord of Ghastly River, Solitary Cloud. That was a name he gave himself. Most of the time, he was alone. At the same time, he was the only mid-level fiend demon in Ghastly River, and there was no deputy territorial lord, hence the word solitary. Clouds obeyed dragons while winds obeyed tigers. The cloud word symbolized his ambitions. One day, he was going to transform into a true dragon. He was going to head to the dwelling of the dragon race and join them as a true member. The appearance of Solitary Cloud meant that the three territories, Black Sand Ridge, Cyclone Cave and Ghastly River, were all gathered here. The three territorial lords stood in different directions and exuded a mighty aura. Their pressure was suffocating as their presence overwhelmed the place. The hearts of Black Wolf and Chanri sank a little more. Solitary Cloud stood on a waterspout with his hands behind his back. He looked down at the demon beasts of Howling Moon Mountain indifferently, and said in a slow manner, Black Sand Ridge is here to take revenge for your young master, so the 4 low-level fiend demons are who you want. Cyclone Cave is here to take revenge for your underlings, so Black Wolf and Chanri are who you want. Since that's the case, the territory of Howling Moon Mountain shall belong to Ghastly River. Humph! The territorial lord of Black Sand Ridge harumphed coldly. Solitary Cloud, Howling Moon Mountain has a vast territory. Do you think you can take it all? Solitary Cloud, aren't you way too greedy? The expression of the territorial lord of Cyclone Cave darkened as well as he frowned deeply. Although the two territorial lords were displeased, they did not dare to get too harsh with their statements. While there was only one mid-level fiend demon in Ghastly River, his true form was a Wyrm. This was a top-tier existence among pure-blooded ferocious beasts with a frightening bloodline. Even if they joined forces, they might not be Solitary Cloud's match. Do I sense objections from the two of you? Solitary Cloud's gaze shifted slowly towards the territorial lords of Black Sand Ridge and Cyclone Cave. There was a chilling, killing intent in his tone. Although Black Wolf and Chanri were expressionless when they saw that, they were secretly delighted. The best outcome right now would be for Black Sand Ridge, Cyclone Cave and Ghastly River to fight it out. That way, there would be a chance for Howling Moon Mountain to survive. The two territorial lords of Black Sand Ridge and Cyclone Cave looked grim against the threat of Solitary Cloud. They were territorial lords after all and naturally felt disrespected when they were threatened right in front of so many eyes. However, both of them exchanged glances and had a tacit understanding. Given the situation, none of them rebutted Solitary Cloud. The territorial lord of Black Sand Ridge grit his teeth and swallowed his pride to declare, Solitary Cloud, we'll discuss how to divide the territory later on. Right now, the most important thing is to destroy Howling Moon Mountain as soon as possible. That's right, we must not fight amongst ourselves or Howling Moon Mountain will be the one that stands to gain. The territorial lord of Cyclone Cave nodded as well. I'm fine with that. Solitary Cloud replied nonchalantly. All of them were territorial lords, and some of them had even cultivated for several thousand years. All of them were sharp and would naturally not let Howling Moon Mountain gain by sitting out. Hee hee! Suddenly, a stifled laughter burst forth from the mountaintop. It was extremely provoking to hear. All the demons turned over and saw a monkey with a golden, shiny rod on his shoulder. He stood akimbo with one arm and smirked coldly in the direction of the 3 territorial lords. "This is Howling Moon Mountain, it's my bloody territory." Monkey pouted and patted Imminent before saying lazily, "You guys will have to ask him if you wish to divide Howling Moon Mountain." The demons of Howling Moon Mountain were astounded. The 3 territorial lords frowned at the same time. Given the current situation, Howling Moon Mountain could topple at any moment against the gigantic demon army of the 3 territories. None of the demons present would dare to guarantee that they could get out alive. The 3 territorial lords had a dominating presence. Even mid-level fiend demons like Black Wolf and Chanrui were wary in their speech and actions given the circumstances, let alone low-level fiend demons. Who would have imagined that a low-level fiend demon would dare to stand forth and provoke the 3 territorial lords? A low-level fiend demon of Black Sand Ridge could not help but hop out as he pointed to Monkey and shouted, "Wild Monkey, there's no room for you to speak here." Monkey glanced askance at the demon and sneered, "Your daddy here is the territorial lord of Howling Moon Mountain. Who do you think you are to dare to speak to me?" The fiend demon was enraged and leaped into midair yelling, "How dare a low-level fiend demon try to be a territorial lord? What a joke! I'll see what you've got. Wild Monkey, prepare to die." Monkey grinned and stood on the ground firmly. With a boom, he soared into the air and arrived before the fiend demon instantly. "Have a taste of your daddy's rod!" Monkey yelled and swung Imminent with both hands, creating a beautiful arc in midair, as he smashed down fiercely towards the demon's head. The force of his attack was way too ferocious. The fiend demon was initially wielding a gigantic spear that was thrust upright, aimed at Monkey's chest. However, he was shocked by the force of Monkey's attack. Frightful, he did not dare to continue with his thrust and retracted his spear hurriedly. The moment the demon lifted his spear above his head, he felt an intense vibration from his spear. His palms split apart instantly and fresh blood gushed. Immediately after, a deafening sound echoed beside his ears. The demon's mouth was agape and his eyes were filled with shock. Snap! His Dharmic weapon was snapped by the rod. The next moment, a golden light blinded him and he felt a sharp pain on his pain, losing consciousness thereafter. Right in front of the others, the low-level fiend demon of Black Sand Ridge had his head split open after his weapon was snapped by Monkey's attack. Brain juice splattered everywhere, and his essence spirit was destroyed on the spot. He was killed by a single strike. A commotion broke out everywhere in Howling Moon Mountain. Although Howling Moon Mountain had a change of territorial lords, the demons did not understand why, and none of them had witnessed Monkey and the others in action. Today was the first time. It was forceful. It was domineering. It was shocking. Although Monkey's cultivation realm was low, he had indeed regained some pride for the demons of Howling Moon Mountain with that attack. All of them felt invigorated as an unexplainable joy surged through them. Ha ha! Monkey reared his head in laughter after killing a fiend demon of Black Sand Ridge. In a wild manner, he looked down at the demon beasts of the 3 territories and declared loudly, "All of you nobodies, don't keep sending yourselves to die. Even I feel embarrassed for you guys." The territorial lord of Black Sand Ridge had a cold expression and grit his teeth so hard that they gave off creaking sounds. "Wild Monkey, don't get cocky now." A burly man behind the territorial lord of Black Sand Ridge charged forward in a flash with a gigantic hammer in his hand. He lunged towards Monkey in huge strides. It was a mid-level fiend demon. Black Wolf recognized that this burly man should be one of the deputy territorial lords of Black Sand Ridge, the mid-level fiend demon, Duan Yong. "Don't freeze there, save him!" Black Wolf shouted. He had seen Monkey in action. In his opinion, although Monkey was strong in combat, he was not at the level where he could take on mid-level fiend demons. Right now, Territorial Lord Emo was not out of seclusion yet. As Deputy Territorial Lords, they could not sit idly by the sidelines and watch Monkey and the others sink into danger. The moment Black Wolf and Chanri made a move, the Territorial Lords of Black Sand Ridge and Cyclone Cave moved as well. They struck right away and held back Black Wolf and Chanri. The Territorial Lord of Black Sand Ridge laughed sinisterly. "Foo-foo, Black Wolf, your opponent is me! Beauty-chan, even the scent of your blood is sweet!" The Territorial Lord of Cyclone Cave sniffed deeply and revealed an intoxicated expression. He was agile and possessed shocking speed, circling around Chanri so quickly that only afterimages could be seen. Kill! The attack of a mid-level fiend demon created a chain reaction. When the Territorial Lords made their move, the demons below rallied at the same time. The battle of the demons had broken out completely. Chapter 825 Not Necessarily. Chapter 825 Not Necessarily. Although the river demons of Ghastly River had already charged into the battlefield, Solitary Cloud did not make a move. To be precise, he was not bothered to do so. In his opinion, the outcome of this battle was already decided the moment it began. What he wanted to do was to obtain as much territory of Howling Moon Mountain as possible, and locate the treasure with the aura of the dragon race. The battlefield was split before long. The spirit demons fought against one another. The low-level fiend demons did the same. Howling Moon Mountain had significantly less spirit demons than the combined forces of Black Sand Ridge and Cyclone Cave. However, thankfully, they were in Howling Moon Mountain and their defense was stronger with the terrain advantage. As for the fight between the low-level fiend demons, the Spirit Tiger, Ching Ching and Little Fox led everyone and even had a slight advantage. However, either of those battlefields were sufficient to determine the outcome of the battlefield. The truly decisive battle was between the mid-level fiend demons, and Howling Moon Mountain was completely disadvantaged for that. The mid-level fiend demons of Black Sand Ridge and Cyclone Cave had already made their move. Black Wolf was surrounded by a total of 5 mid-level fiend demons led by the Territorial Lord of Black Sand Ridge. As for Chanri's side, she was attacked by 8 mid-level fiend demons of Cyclone Cave at the same time. Both Black Wolf and Chanri faced torrential, suffocating attacks right at the start of the battle. They struggled to defend and almost died in the process. Their strength was comparable to the Territorial Lords of Black Sand Ridge and Cyclone Cave at the most. However, Black Sand Ridge and Cyclone Cave had more than 10 helpers in total, and neither Black Wolf or Chanri could deal with that. They could barely guarantee their own safety, let alone rescue Monkey. On the other side, the Deputy Territorial Lord of Black Sand Ridge, Duan Yong, had already begun fighting Monkey. As a mid-level fiend demon, Duan Yong naturally looked down on his fight against the fiend demon that was a major cultivation realm beneath him. That was the reason why he did not even revert to his true form at the start of the fight. "Prepare to die, wild monkey!" Duan Yong had a menacing gaze as he charged forward. He wielded a gigantic hammer and smashed down towards Monkey's head. Monkey's blood chi surged and he had already transformed from his human form. Thick, long golden fur lined his body at a visible speed and his body expanded with a torrential demonic aura. Monkey did not dodge or avoid the incoming hammer. With a fierce expression, he gripped Imminent with both hands and the muscles on his arms bulged like molten steel. "Kill!" Monkey roared and swung Imminent, smashing it fiercely towards the gigantic hammer. Boom! When the gigantic hammer smashed against Imminent, sparks flew everywhere, and a deafening explosion could be heard. A gigantic heatwave surged forward instantly. Duan Yong grunted dully and felt his arms go sore as he staggered in retreat continuously. He nearly lost his grip on his gigantic hammer. What tremendous strength! A look of shock flashed through Duan Yong's eyes. Even without his true form, his combat strength could definitely match a low-level fiend demon. However, this monkey before him was able to knock him back with a single rod smash. Solitary Cloud was standing idly by the sidelines when he saw this, and his eyes lit up. Wild monkey, I'm going to tear you into pieces! Duan Yong cracked his neck both ways and his bones transformed, causing his body to expand. In the blink of an eye, he turned into a gigantic bull. Duan Yong's combat strength increased significantly when he reverted to his true form. Bang! Boom! Boom! He sprinted forward in midair with a barbaric might. With his spirit consciousness, he controlled the gigantic hammer to smash it towards Monkey. At the same time, Duan Yong's massive body charged in Monkey's direction, and he thrust his thick, sharp horns violently at the latter's chest. So, it's a bull demon. I'm going to send you down to meet Hades. Monkey was not flustered at all, and the scarlet glint in his eyes intensified so much that they almost spewed out. Berserk. He had just become a low-level fiend demon, and was not at the stage where he was able to take mid-level fiend demons head-on. However, if he triggered the berserk power within his bloodline, Monkey's strength would reach an explosive level. Back in Myriad Phenomenon City, Monkey could even take on the primordial 9 races in his berserk state. In his berserk state, Monkey could only see this bull in his bloodshot eyes. The mysterious energy in his bloodline grew and cruised through his body rampantly. Monkey's entire body was shivering slightly. Clang! Wielding Imminent, he sent the gigantic hammer above Duan Yong's head flying with a single swing. Immediately after, Monkey dodged Duan Yong's charge with a leap and instead rode on the latter's head. He swung down his fists and smashed down onto Duan Yong's head. Bang! Duan Yong's body trembled violently from that punch. An explosion reverberated through his mind and his head felt like it was about to split. His vision was blurry as he swayed and nearly fainted. Luckily, Monkey's right arm was slightly numb after he smashed the gigantic hammer with Imminent, and could not exert his full strength. Otherwise, Duan Yong's head would have been smashed into a pulp if the strike was done with Imminent instead. Even so, Monkey's fist was not something that Duan Yong's head could take head-on. Poof! Duan Yong spat out a mouthful of blood and tried his best to shake Monkey off his body. However, Monkey gripped Duan Yong's waist tightly with his legs like iron hoops. He did not budge at all as he rode on Duan Yong while raining punches down with his fist. I'll beat you to death! I'll beat you to death! Monkey ranted with bloodshot eyes. Blood scars surfaced on Duan Yong's head as the punches rained down in succession. He coughed with blood endlessly and his gaze went dim. Interesting. Solitary Cloud curled his lips and nodded. The bloodline of this monkey was definitely extraordinary if it could take an enemy a major cultivation realm above it head-on. However, this monkey would still lose if those were its only capabilities. Go to hell! Duan Yong's glabella shone and he released a sudden roar. A powerful spirit consciousness fluctuation surged forward and descended upon Monkey instantly. It was an attack of the spirit consciousness. Although Duan Yong did not know any essence spirit secret skill, he was a mid-level fiend demon, and could release a spirit consciousness attack. It was an attack targeted at one's essence spirit, and was almost instantaneous. Ah! Monkey howled in pain and hugged his head with a single hand. He felt sharp pains piercing through his mind as though there were endless needles poking him as he swayed and almost fell from midair. Brother Duan, don't worry. I'm here to help you. A mid-level fiend demon from Cyclone Cave rushed over. Its true form was a blood-colored bat, and it was extremely hideous. Its glabella shone and released waves of spirit consciousness attacks. Monkey could not withstand the spirit consciousness attacks from 2 mid-level fiend demons. Ah! 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 He hugged his head with both hands and howled in unendurable pain, hopping wildly in midair. He could not even care when Imminent fell from his hands. Solitary Cloud shook his head. What a pity! Indeed, there was an uncrossable gap between low and mid-level fiend demons. Even back when he was a low-level fiend demon, he could not take on mid-level fiend demons that were a major cultivation realm above him. On the other side, Black Wolf and Chan Rui were injured from head to toe, and were at the end of the road. With the help of more than 10 mid-level fiend demons, Black Sand Ridge and Cyclone Cave had complete control over the situation, and nearly nobody was injured. Black Wolf Chan Rui. It's no use even if you use your Essence Spirit secret skills. The Territorial Lords of Black Sand Ridge and Cyclone Cave exchanged glances and smiled smugly, as though they could read the minds of Black Wolf and Chan Rui. After all, we know the same Essence Spirit secret skills. Not even deities can save Howling Moon Mountain today. The two of you are bound to die. Not necessarily. Right then, a voice sounded within Howling Moon Mountain. It was robust and filled with a steely killing intent, as though there was a powerful army behind it. Chapter 826 Thunderous Capabilities. Chapter 826 Thunderous Capabilities. The voice reverberated through Howling Moon Mountain. However, the fight between the demons was intense, and not many demon beasts took notice of it. Yet, the spirit tiger, Ching Ching, and the others were invigorated. Boom! An explosion sounded from the entrance of a cave abode above the mountaintop. The stone door exploded with a frightening force, and countless rocks were sent flying. Among the debris, a figure traveled at an extremely fast speed and arrived beside Monkey almost instantly. So fast! Solitary Cloud's heart skipped a beat. His vision turned blurry for an instant, and the figure had already vanished. He could not even keep up with the figure with his eyes. Solitary Cloud released his spirit consciousness and squinted his eyes. The intruder wore green robes and had shoulder-length scarlet hair. Although he had refined features, he exuded an unusually demonic aura from head to toe. The intruder scooped up imminent that was falling with his left hand and swung it against Duan Yang's spine in reverse. Bang! Flesh and blood splattered everywhere. Duan Yang's massive body was cut into two by the tremendous power released by imminent. His organs spilled out into the air with a nauseating blood stench. At the same time, the intruder extended his right arm with lightning speed and managed to grip the blood bat of Cyclone Cave that was flickering left and right at a rapid pace. Blood bats of Cyclone Cave were known for their speed. However, it could not escape from the intruder's palms. Squeak, squeak! The blood bat was a mid-level fiend demon and screeched hurriedly when its throat was gripped by someone's palm. It struggled violently but could not break free no matter what it did. The person exerted strength without any hesitation. Crack! The throat of the blood bat of Cyclone Cave was snapped right away. It was a clean kill. The entire process was fluid as water without any sluggishness. In the blink of an eye, the physical bodies of two mid-level fiend demons were completely destroyed. For low-level fiend demons, the destruction of the physical body was almost equivalent to death. However, for mid-level fiend demons, their essence spirits could roam. There was a chance that they could survive despite the chaotic battlefield with weapons and attacks crossing everywhere. There was a bright flash, and two glows floated out from the corpses. One of them was a thumb-sized bull and the other was a blood-colored bat, both of whom fled swiftly into the distance. When the essence spirit was exposed to the outside world without its physical body, the dangers it had to face increased significantly. However, without the shackles of the physical body, the essence spirit resonated closer to heaven and earth, and was able to move much faster without resistance. Unfortunately, no matter how fast the two essence spirits were, they were not faster than the speed of sound. The intruder released a roar swiftly after he destroyed the physical bodies of the two mid-level fiend demons. Kill! It was a thunderous boom that shook one's mind. The two essence spirits did not manage to escape far when the voice sounded. Both of them shuddered and paused in midair stiffly. A moment later, the glow around the essence spirits gradually dimmed and cracks appeared one after another throughout their bodies as they fell from midair. The essence spirits of two mid-level fiend demons were completely destroyed. All the demons were in an uproar. At the start, the voice might not have been able to attract everyone's attention. However, this scene was more than enough to shock all the demons present. Even the Territorial Lords of Black Sand Ridge and Cyclone Cave paused for a moment, and turned over with frowns on their faces. Countless spirit demons had died by this point of the battle. More than 10 low-level fiend demons had fallen as well. However, there were no mid-level fiend demons that died. Yet, the moment this person appeared, he took down 2 mid-level fiend demons with thunderous means. How could anyone ignore him? Who was this person? That was the greatest and only question in the mind of the demons present. Territorial Lord! Right then, Black Wolf could not help but holler when he caught sight of the intruder. It's our Territorial Lord! Our main Territorial Lord of Howling Moon Mountain. The Rat King was drenched in blood from head to toe. However, he was rejoiced and spirited as well when he saw who had arrived, shouting loudly. The demons of Howling Moon Mountain were invigorated and cheered with gusto. Throughout the battle, the demons had almost forgotten cleanly about this mysterious Territorial Lord that had never shown himself. Nobody expected him to finally make an appearance at this critical moment. I heard that the new Territorial Lord of Howling Moon Mountain is a low-level fiend demon. Originally, I could not believe it. Seems like the rumors are true after all. Foo-foo, Howling Moon Mountain is sure getting more worthless by the day. A stifled laugh echoed from midair. Solitary Cloud looked down with a faint hint of mockery in his eyes and his hands behind his back. Low-level fiend demon? The demons of Howling Moon Mountain froze for a moment, and turned towards the intruder with lost looks in their eyes. It does seem like he's truly a low-level fiend demon. How could that be? Ugh! In the blink of an eye, the smiles on the faces of the Howling Moon Mountain demons vanished. All of them shook their heads and sighed in disappointment. The greater the expectation, the greater the disappointment. Initially, the demons thought that their new Territorial Lord could lead them to force back the strong foes. But now, what could a low-level fiend demon do? Given the circumstances, even mid-level fiend demons with ordinary strength could barely handle the chaos. The intruder was none other than Su Zimo, who was in seclusion. His kill of the 2 mid-level fiend demons happened in a fleeting moment. Apart from a few people who were watching idly by the sidelines, almost nobody else noticed it. That was the reason why the demons of Howling Moon Mountain were not overwhelmed despite witnessing the death of 2 mid-level fiend demons. Many demons even thought that their new Territorial Lord committed a dishonorable ambush attack. Su Zimo supported Monkey and returned imminent to the latter, asking, "Can you still fight?" Of course. Although Monkey's eyes were considerably less bloodshot and his berserk power had faded as well, the fighting spirit in his eyes did not diminish in the slightest bit. Su Zimo said, "Go and help the spirit tiger and the others. Leave things here to me." "All right." Monkey agreed to it readily. The Territorial Lords of Black Sand Ridge and Cyclone Cave did not say anything at all. They merely squinted and spread their mighty spirit consciousnesses to scan Su Zimo's body continuously. Both of them wanted to read Su Zimo. However, to their surprise, they could not even make out his true form. If not for the demonic aura that Su Zimo exuded, they would have even thought that they were facing a human cultivator. Solitary Cloud frowned as well. The scarlet-haired man before him was only a low-level fiend demon, but he could not read this man at all. The most puzzling thing was that he felt shudders when he looked at this scarlet-haired man. It was an unprecedented situation. As a Wyrm, he was a top-tier expert even among pure-blooded ferocious beasts. Furthermore, he was a full major cultivation realm above this person. How could he be feeling shudders? It must be his imagination. Wait, something isn't right. Solitary Cloud closed his eyes slightly and took a deep breath. It was the aura of the dragon race. His expression changed. This man exuded a faint aura of the dragon race. I've got it. Suddenly, Solitary Cloud realized what was happening. This man must be in possession of the treasure of the dragon race. Everything would make sense if that was the case. The reason why this person was able to become the Territorial Lord of Howling Moon Mountain despite the fact that he was a low-level fiend demon was because he had the treasure of the dragon race. Although Solitary Cloud was expressionless, he was secretly delighted when he finally understood what was happening. A treasure that can help a low-level fiend demon become a Territorial Lord is definitely extraordinary. The heavens are truly on my side. I'm excited just thinking about it. Solitary Cloud thought to himself as his lips curled. Chapter 827 Slaughter. Chapter 827 Slaughter. Solitary Cloud pointed to Suzimo and looked at everyone from Black Sand Ridge and Cyclone Cave proudly, saying in a slow manner, "You guys can carry on. Leave this man to me." His intentions were simple. Even if the treasure of the dragon race was exposed, if he was the one that killed this man personally, it would definitely belong to him and nobody would be able to take it away from him. The territorial lords of Black Sand Ridge and Cyclone Cave exchanged glances and nodded. Originally, the two of them thought that the intruder was an impressive expert. By the look of things now, he was nothing more than a low-level fiend demon. Although he was capable, it meant nothing that he was not going to change the eventual outcome. Furthermore, this man was doomed now that Solitary Cloud decided to step in and deal with things personally. Kill! The two territorial lords raised their hands and led the remaining 10 mid-level fiend demons to launch another flurry of attacks towards Black Wolf and Chan Rui. Instantly, Dharmic power surged everywhere. Black Wolf and Chan Rui had just caught a breather. To think that they would be encircled with impending danger in the blink of an eye. Suzimo's gaze turned cold. He moved swiftly and charged in the direction of the territorial lords of Cyclone Cave and Black Sand Ridge. "Fufu, I'm your opponent." Solitary Cloud had no intention of reverting to his true form. He advanced with his waterspout and blocked Suzimo's path, smiling idly. "It's your honor to be able to die in my hands." Scram! Suzimo's eyes lit up and he thrust his knees forward, extending his arms to grab Solitary Cloud's shoulders at the same time. That was a killing move from the mystic classic of the 12 demon kings of the Great Wilderness. Suzimo had used these techniques in the past. Although they were strong, they were merely in form. After he became a fiend demon, this technique was no longer merely in form, there was even a divine might in it. This was the true definition of a mental and physical harmonization. This was a level that could only be achieved after an essence spirit was formed. Solitary Cloud's expression changed. In his eyes, it was as though Suzimo's figure had vanished. Instead, there was a divine steed that was charging over with a torrential might. A tragic aura surged towards him and rattled his mind. "Ah! He's a horse demon!" A thought crossed Solitary Cloud's mind. Instantly, he felt prideful. His true form was a Wyrm, a pure-blooded ferocious beast. In terms of bloodline, he could be considered as a distant relative of the dragon race. How could he be shocked by a horse demon? "Get the hell back!" Solitary Cloud hollered and extended his arms at the same time, entangling them with Suzimo's hands. He kicked out with one foot and stomped onto Suzimo's knees violently. Bang! Solitary Cloud's feet collided fiercely against Suzimo's knee. Solitary Cloud shuddered. A terrifying power surged into his body through his feet in an almost unstoppable manner. That single head-on collision caused his feet to go numb. Shing! Right then, Solitary Cloud suddenly felt his arms turn cold. Immediately after, there was a sharp pain. He lowered his head. Nails that were sharp as daggers protruded from Suzimo's fingers. Although they did not pierce his flesh, they ripped his clothes apart and left bloodied scars across his arms. "Ah!" Solitary Cloud was enraged and could not help but roar. As a pure-blooded ferocious beast, his body was extremely tough and even ordinary perfected Lord Dharmic weapons could barely hurt him. To think that his body would be injured by the nails of this low-level fiend demon before him. "How dare you injure?" Solitary Cloud's eyes widened. Before he could finish his sentence, his vision blurred and Suzimo charged forward once more. Boom! Suzimo's fist curved in an arc in midair like a gigantic seal and smashed down onto his face with a terrifying might. This? Solitary Cloud's eyes were filled with rage and surprise. In his eyes, Suzimo was like a divine ape that was enraged at the moment. He thumped his chest wildly with a shocking wrath. Could this person's true form be an ape? If that's the case, what was with the divine steed earlier on? Solitary Cloud had no time to ponder deeply as he crossed and propped his arms forward hurriedly. Bang! There was a dull sound of defeat when flesh and bones collided. Solitary Cloud's body shuddered and he lost his balance. He was sent flying by Suzimo. He had lost in 2 consecutive head-on clashes. Furthermore, after both rounds, Solitary Cloud found himself even more bewildered and surprised. He could no longer figure out what Suzimo's true form was. In less than 3 breaths, Suzimo sent Solitary Cloud flying. Ha ha! Suzimo burst into laughter and glanced askance at Solitary Cloud, who was not far away, declaring loudly, "You are indeed rather capable to even survive despite taking 2 attacks from me." His statement was a reply to Solitary Cloud's initial taunt. However, he had said it in an even more brazen manner. Solitary Cloud was so furious that his lungs almost exploded. As a Wyrm, he had been in countless battles up till this point of his cultivation. Although he had been on the brink of death multiple times, he had never endured such humiliation. His body shivered in rage as the blood chi in his body surged and his bones started transforming. He was prepared to revert to his true form and kill Suzimo. "I don't care if you're a horse or ape demon. I'll make sure you endure my wrath for humiliating me. I've decided I'm not going to kill you today. Instead, I'm going to subdue you and turn you into my mount," Solitary Cloud ranted as he transformed. Immediately after, he caught sight of another scene and shrieked, so shocked that his eyeballs nearly popped out. "Holy shit! What the hell is that?" After he was knocked back by Suzimo, the latter did not bother about him and instead sprinted across the battlefield to rescue Black Wolf and Chanri. Suzimo's figure slithered in midair like an anaconda and arrived behind a mid-level fiend demon of Cyclone Cave with a single slide. Solitary Cloud was utterly confused. Initially, he thought that Suzimo was a horse or ape demon, or even some mighty steed ape of the legends. However, this man transformed into an anaconda right before him. Although he was in human form, his actions and mannerisms resembled the anaconda race completely. The mid-level fiend demon of Cyclone Cave had not imagined that Suzimo would be able to break free from the Territorial Lord of Ghastly River and rush over. Before he could react, Suzimo was behind him. Hiss! He heard a strange sound. Even without turning back, the image of an anaconda spitting its forked tongue appeared in his mind. Chills ran down his spine and his scalp prickled. Before he could react, he found his arms and legs bound tightly such that he was unable to escape. The feeling of asphyxiation surged into his mind and he could no longer use any Dharmic powers or weapons. The next moment, Suzimo reared his head and took in a deep breath, as though he had transformed into a gigantic anaconda that was about to devour the sun and moon. The flesh on his body expanded instantly. The terrifying restriction power had descended upon this person. Crack! 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 Right in front of everyone, the body of the fiend demon from Cyclone Cave caved in, and the sound of bones snapping echoed continuously. Given that distance, not many people would be able to defend against Suzimo's killing move, even if they were mid-level fiend demons. An essence spirit broke out from the body. Before it could escape, Suzimo gripped and squashed it, destroying it on the spot. A mid-level fiend demon was minced to death just like that. Chapter 828 Wyrm Bone Scissors. Chapter 828 Wyrm Bone Scissors. Psst! What a violent melee combat technique! The mid-level fiend demons that originally surrounded Black Wolf and Chanri were shocked and retreated by instinct, causing the attacks to pause. Together with the 2 territorial lords, there were a total of 14 mid-level fiend demons. However, in the blink of an eye, 3 were dead. Don't panic! It's just a low-level fiend demon. Everyone, let's work together to kill him. The Territorial Lord of Cyclone Cave had a composed expression as he shouted. The Territorial Lord of Black Sand Ridge gave a deep growl as well. The 9 of you, surround and kill that guy. Leave Black Wolf and Chanri to us. The demons gradually returned to their senses. How strong could a low-level fiend demon be? No matter how violent this person was in melee combat, he only had a pair of fists and legs. How could he win against 9 fiend demons? No matter how strong this person's physique was, could he defend against their Dharmic weapons? Kill! In midair, the demons shouted and struck at the same time. More than 10 demonic Dharmic weapons tore through the air and rained down in the direction of Su Zimo's body. The demons of Howling Moon Mountain turned nervous instantly. 9 fiend demons were joining forces to kill a low-level fiend demon. This was an unprecedented sight. Even a mid-level fiend demon was most probably unable to defend against this. Furthermore, the Territorial Lord of Ghastly River, Solitary Cloud, had already reverted to his true form at the side. The corners of his head protruded gloriously as he surged forward on his waterspout with a torrential might along with rain and clouds. Solitary Cloud's combat strength increased significantly now that he was in his true form. A Wyrm resembled a dragon without horns and a snake with 2 legs. Solitary Cloud's body was grayish-white, and he was a few hundred feet long when completely spread out. Thin, small scales lined his body and he had 2 feet under his abdomen with sharp claws and fangs. At his glabella between his eyes there was a small bump that resembled a meat lump. It was almost impossible to see unless one focused their gaze. In truth, this meat lump was the horn of Wyrms. Wyrms had no horns when they were born. Their horns only appeared if they cultivated continuously to comprehend heaven and earth while devouring opportunities and stealing fortunes. The deeper their cultivations were, the more obvious their horns would become. Of course, most Wyrms could barely cultivate a tender horn even if they cultivated for tens of thousands of years. Legend has it that when the horn is completely formed, it would mean that the Wyrm was about to become a true dragon. In the blink of an eye, more than 10 demonic Dharmic weapons closed in. Su Zimo's expression did not change as he slapped his storage bag, withdrawing a black mountain peak that expanded with the wind. Boom! The black mountain peak descended and hovered in midair. At least half of the demonic Dharmic weapons that were initially flying towards Su Zimo changed their trajectories towards the black mountain peak, as though they were mysteriously drawn away. Cling! Clang! The demon Dharmic weapons clashed against the black mountain and sparks flew with clanging sounds. Even more beguiling than that, the demonic Dharmic weapons were stuck on the black mountain motionlessly. The few fiend demons were startled. They lost their connection with their own destiny Dharmic weapons. Although they could see their own destiny Dharmic weapons right before their eyes, they could no longer control them. Although a few of the Dharmic weapons were unaffected, they no longer bore any threat to Su Zimo. Su Zimo's figure flashed a few times in succession, and he avoided the Dharmic weapons with ease. Bang! Boom! Boom! Solitary Cloud charged over with raging tides and a ferocious aura, as though he was about to devour the entire Howling Moon Mountain. He narrowed his gaze and exclaimed softly. It was clear that the Black Mountain was far from ordinary. However, he could clearly sense that there was no aura of the dragon race coming from the Black Mountain. It was not the same treasure from the dragon race that he had conjectured. This mountain seems to be... Solitary Cloud's eyes lit up and a possibility crossed his mind. Other fiend demons might not have been able to recognize it, but he was someone from the Wyrm race. He had inherited vast memories from the ancient times and his knowledge naturally surpassed others. If I'm not wrong, that should be Mystic Magnet Mountain, one of the 7 unique treasures. To think that this man would be in possession of a unique treasure. Solitary Cloud's heart skipped a beat. This man's fortune was sure terrifying to possess a unique treasure, as well as a treasure of the dragon race that has yet to make its appearance. It was no wonder why this man was able to replace Black Wolf as a territorial lord. However, although a unique treasure was strong, it did not mean that it had no weaknesses. Everything in the world had its counters. The power of magnetism possessed a natural suction towards any metallic object in the world. However, it had no effect on many universal and rare spirit items. For example, aged metal ores, heaven silver and green bronze etc. were materials that were unaffected by the mystic magnet mountain. The mystic magnet mountain was even more useless against some of the weapons that were made from the flesh, hide or bones of demon beasts. Puny tricks. Watch my Dharmic weapon! Solitary Cloud sneered and opened his gigantic mouth, spitting out a ray of white light. The ray of white light expanded rapidly in midair like a pair of gigantic scissors. It hovered in midair and was protected by a mist, shrouded by endless demonic chi. This was Solitary Cloud's destiny Dharmic weapon, the Wyrm bone scissors. It was made from the spines of a male and female Wyrms. The heads of the Wyrms were made into its handle and the tails of the Wyrms were made into its scissors blades. It was lined densely with thin spikes and was incomparably sharp. No matter the demon beast or weapon, they would be cut into two by the Wyrm bone scissors. Most importantly, the mystic magnet mountain had no effect on the Wyrm bone scissors since it was made from the bones of Wyrms. Roar! The Wyrm bone scissors paused momentarily in midair as demonic chi surged. Two ferocious Wyrms were created and they reared their heads and roared into the skies with a murderous intent before coiling towards Suzimo. Although the Wyrm bone scissors could not be considered as a Khanate Dao being Dharmic weapon, it was not far from one. Before the two Wyrms descended, Suzimo already felt a sharp pain around his waist as though he was about to be cut into two. Humph! Suzimo sneered and his glabella shone, sending forth a ray of green light. The ray of green light expanded swiftly in midair, creating a bronze square tripod that was more than a meter tall, ancient and heavy. Although it was lined with cracks, its edges were defined as though it could break the firmaments and quake the earth. Even the universe could not contain it. Go! Suzimo hollered softly and controlled the bronze square tripod with his consciousness, sending it to smash against the Wyrm bone scissors violently. Cut it! Solitary Cloud hollered as well. Boom! The Wyrm bone scissors and bronze square tripod collided violently with a tremendous bang. Roar! Immediately after, the tragic cries of two Wyrms echoed in midair, as they reverted into two rays of white light that vanished as they retreated into the Wyrm bone scissors. The glow of the Wyrm bone scissors dimmed significantly, and it fell. Solitary Cloud's heart was broken as he glared at it with unimaginable pain. His Wyrm bone scissors was injured with a single clash, and it would take him dozens of years of refinement to return it to normal. The bronze square tripod was intact and returned to Suzimo's side once more. Although the bronze square tripod looked battered and was lined with cracks, it was indestructible. The outcome of that head-on collision was not because Suzimo was strong. The Wyrm bone scissors was the one that injured itself by trying to destroy the bronze square tripod. How dare you damage my precious scissors, fiend demon! Damn it! Solitary Cloud was enraged and howled deeply. The river behind him surged and created torrential waves that gushed towards Suzimo with an apocalyptic might like a massive army. At the same time, the fiend demons that lost their demonic Dharmic weapons struck at the same time, releasing demonic arts one after another. Instantly, the voids were filled with dense demonic chi and Dharmic powers rumbled. Chapter 829 Dharmic Duel. Chapter 829 Dharmic Duel. At this point of the battle, either parties were bothered with testing the waters. Apart from Suzimo, all the other demons reverted to their true forms and released demonic arts. Instantly, the earth and mountains quaked while rivers gushed. This was a collision between Dharmic arts, and there were no cheap tricks involved. All the mid-level fiend demons of Black Sand Ridge and Cyclone Cave could already tell that Suzimo's physique was strong and he was terrifying in melee combat. They might not be able to secure victory. Furthermore, he had quite a number of treasures that were extraordinarily strong. They would be disadvantaged if they tried to take him on in melee combat or with Dharmic weapons. Their cultivation realms were above Suzimo and their essence spirits were powerful. As such, they could utilize even more Dharmic powers, that was their advantage. Moreover, coupled with Solitary Cloud, the Territorial Lord of Ghastly River, there were a total of 10 mid-level fiend demons attacking at the same time. The combined strength of countless Dharmic powers has a torrential force, and even the voids above Howling Moon Mountain vibrated. Solitary Cloud's demonic art was the most frightening of them all. Wyrms mostly resided in rivers or lakes and could make use of the power of water while manipulating rain and clouds. They could even trigger floods and bring calamity upon living beings by drowning the earth if they were furious. Right now, the demonic art that he had invoked was a legacy Dharmic art of the Wyrm race, Apocalyptic Torrent. Even the Territorial Lords of Black Sand Ridge and Cyclone Cave were startled when the Dharmic art was released, let alone the other weaker demons. Even if the two of them combined strength, they would have to avoid this attack. The combat power of this Wyrm was greater than they had imagined. Thankfully, they were not the target of the Dharmic art. The Territorial Lords of Black Sand Ridge and Cyclone Cave sneered as they glanced at Suzimo and shook their heads. They focused their attention on Black Wolf and Chanri once again. In their minds, Suzimo was nothing but a dead man. Nobody could survive such an attack. Even if they were in Suzimo's position, their physical bodies and essence spirits would be destroyed together. At that moment, the demons that were fighting below paused briefly. All of them turned over instinctively. Against many fiend demons that were so gigantic they were about to pierce the heavens with their frames, Suzimo seemed as insignificant as an ant. It seemed as though he would be drowned by the overwhelming torrent of Dharmic power instantly. However, if they focused their gazes, they would be able to notice that Suzimo's gaze was calm and emotionless. Instead, there was even a hint of mockery. All of a sudden, a massive object appeared beneath Suzimo's feet. The massive object had 4 feet, 2 heads and carried a gigantic shell that was filled with mysterious runes. It was ancient, and seemed as though it could understand all the secrets of the universe. The shell carried the firmaments, as its feet stood right into the torrent unyieldingly like heavenly piercing stone pillars. Roar! The snake and turtle reared their heads and howled into the world. Heaven and earth rumbled. The 9 Dharmic arts from the fiend demons of Black Sand Ridge and Cyclone Cave had just descended when they paused in midair before dissipating. 9 Dharmic arts were dispelled instantly. What is that? All the demons were in an uproar. Even Solitary Cloud's pupils constricted. The aura emanated by the demon beast with 4 feet and 2 heads gave him uncontrollable shudders. What was that demon beast that possessed such a noble bloodline? 4 limbs, 2 heads, 4 limbs, 2 heads. Solitary Cloud murmured softly, and his eyes lit up as a possibility crossed his mind. Could it be the sacred beast, the black tortoise? That was no demon beast, it was a sacred beast. Although Suzimo's golden core had already vanished, he was now at the nascent soul realm, and it was extremely simple for him to release the black tortoise phenomenon using Dharmic powers. No matter how the torrent surged, it could not shake the figure of the black tortoise. The black tortoise phenomenon was the number 1 of the phenomenon ranking. Even a phantom that was conjured using Dharmic powers was not something that ordinary Dharmic arts could contend with. Although the fiend demons that surrounded Suzimo were massive with torrential demonic chi, they were inferior compared to the sacred beast, the black tortoise. Suzimo rode on the black tortoise with a burning gaze and an even more fearsome aura that seemed as though he could devour mountains and rivers. How dare a puny Wyrm snake try to cause a wave? How laughable! Against the suppression of the black tortoise, the torrent from the voids had indeed stabilized. Solitary Cloud gripped his fists tightly and was shivering in rage. As someone from the Wyrm race, the one thing he hated the most was being compared to a mere snake. It's merely a phantom created from Dharmic powers. It looks strong on the surface but lacks substance and isn't even a real sacred beast. What are you getting cocky about? Solitary Cloud grit his teeth. This Dharmic art is definitely taking a huge toll on your essence spirit. I'll see how many of my attacks you can withstand. Solitary Cloud was indeed a sharp person who was keen to pick up on things. He was not wrong. To summon this black tortoise phenomenon, Suzimo took a huge toll on his Scarlet Hairdean spirit. After all, his cultivation realm could not be changed. It was already his Scarlet Hairdean spirit's limits to defend against the attacks of 10 mid-level fiend demons. However, Suzimo was composed as ever as he smirked coldly without a hint of panic. In that intense battle, nobody noticed that the scarlet hair on Suzimo's head was gradually turning black. The Scarlet Hairdean spirit had retreated within his spirit consciousness. In its place was the black-haired essence spirit that sat in the center. It's not about how many attacks I can withstand. It's about how many attacks you can withstand. Suzimo circled around the demons and electric currents flashed through his eyes as he reared his head and roared. He formed hand seals swiftly with both hands and the sound of thunder rumbling could be heard within his body. In fact, lightning bolts arced sinisterly across the surface of his body. The clouds above Howling Moon Mountain turned darker and rumbled fiercely. However, nobody noticed this as there was already a heavy downpour. Purple thunderstorm! Suddenly, Suzimo shouted and pointed forward. Boom! Streaks of purple thunderbolt rained down from the dark clouds, connecting the firmaments to the earth. They weaved endlessly to form a terrifying purple thunderstorm. 6 of the mid-level fiend demons that could not dodge in time were pulled into the storm. The 6 of them were startled and gathered their Dharmic powers to defend. However, it was absolutely impossible for them to escape unscathed against the envelopment of heaven and earth's might. In the blink of an eye, the Dharmic power defense of 2 fiend demons were penetrated. Within 3 breaths, the flesh of the 2 fiend demons were split open by the thunderbolts. Ah! Ah! Purple thunderbolts coiled and the wounds billowed with dark smoke. Both fiend demons writhed in pain in midair and shrieked tragically. The remaining 4 fiend demons tried their best and eventually managed to escape from the area of effect of the purple thunderstorm. However, all of them were injured from head to toe and were in a pathetic state. The 4 fiend demons turned back and glanced with a sense of trepidation. During that short period of time, the 2 fiend demons were already drowned within the purple thunderstorm and had perished in silence. Against the envelopment of the purple thunderstorm, their essence spirits would be electrocuted instantly even if they managed to escape from the physical body. 2 mid-level fiend demons died instantly from a single Dharmic art. All the demons were shocked. The Territorial lords of Black Sand Ridge and Cyclone Cave looked at everything with agape mouths and eyes widened in disbelief. This was a Dharmic art from the Purple Thunder Manual that possessed a devastating power. In truth, no matter how strong the Purple Thunderstorm was, it might not have been able to kill a mid-level fiend demon that was a major cultivation realm above Suzimo. Those 2 mid-level fiend demons were unlucky. With the thunderclouds and heavy downpour in the area to begin with, the power of the Purple Thunderstorm that was released was pushed to its maximum extent. Chapter 830 Variable. Chapter 830 Variable. At this moment, none of the demons dared to underestimate the situation any longer. They could not win in melee combat. Their Dharmic weapons were useless. They had lost in a fight with Dharmic arts. There were already 5 mid-level fiend demons that had died in the hands of this man at this point of the battle. Even if he was a low-level fiend demon, nobody dared to underestimate him any longer. Solitary Cloud was enraged and was still indignant. As a pure-blooded ferocious beast, his bloodline was noble and strong and even contained a trickle of the dragon race's bloodline. Furthermore, he was a full major cultivation realm above this man. How could he possibly lose when he was joining forces with others? Even if they had to drag on the fight, they could defeat this man in a combined war of attrition. Kill! Solitary Cloud opened his mouth and a current surged forward. The moment the stream of water arrived in midair, it transformed into the shape of a Wyrm. The Wyrm soared through the clouds snarling with sharp fangs, charging violently towards Suzimo as though it could feel its master's wrath. Puny Wyrm snake! Break it! Suzimo had a calm expression as he shouted while conjuring hand seals with his hands once again. Lightning bolts curved, extended and shrank between his arms. There were crackling sounds and a gigantic shield was formed between his hands, standing right in front of him. It was a Dharmic art from the Purple Thunder Manual, the Purple Thunder Shield. The gigantic Purple Thunder Shield was created from lightning bolts completely and absorbed the power of thunder from the thunderclouds endlessly, sparkling with a blinding dazzle. Boom! The Wyrm collided fiercely against the Purple Thunder Shield and created a loud bang. The Purple Thunder Shield dissipated. The Wyrm's solitary cloud conjure dispersed as well. Zimo made use of the rebound momentum from the collision and bolted in reverse, arriving in front of another mid-level fiend demon instantly. The mid-level fiend demon had just escaped from the purple thunderstorm. Before he could catch a breath, his vision darkened and a massive palm descended upon him. The person's mouth went agape and he had a startled expression. He had just escaped from death and was injured from head to toe. As such, his reaction time was already slower. There was no way he would have expected Zimo to arrive right in front of him, when the latter was just fighting the Territorial Lord of Ghastly River a moment earlier. That single moment of lag cost him his life. Piak! Zimo's palm landed on the person's head. The person's skull shattered instantly. The essence spirit in his spirit consciousness was destroyed on the spot, devastated by a tremendous amount of power. Another mid-level fiend demon was dead. In the blink of an eye, there were only 8 mid-level fiend demons left, including the Territorial Lords of Cyclone Cave and Black Sand Ridge. M.O. M.O. The demons of Howling Moon Mountain cheered as they shouted the name of their Territorial Lord. Solitary Cloud's expression was terrible. He had failed time and again. Not only did he fail to kill Zimo with his Dharmic art, the latter even made use of the rebound to kill another mid-level fiend demon. He was thoroughly enraged right now. Finally, the Territorial Lords of Cyclone Cave and Black Sand Ridge noticed something amiss. If this continued, the mid-level fiend demons under their lead would die while the Territorial Lord of Howling Moon Mountain was fine and dandy. Apart from the 3 Territorial Lords, the other 6 mid-level fiend demons had hints of fear and panic in their eyes. There was a chance that the 6 fiend demons were going to flee if the 3 of them did not do something soon. The Territorial Lords of Black Sand Ridge and Cyclone Cave exchanged glances and, with a tacit understanding, abandoned their pursuit of Black Wolf and Chanrui and turned towards Zimo. Black Wolf and Chanrui were thoroughly exhausted and were of no threat. Right now, the most pressing matter was to kill the Territorial Lord of Howling Moon Mountain to boost the morale of their army. All of a sudden, the demons noticed that right now, Zimo no longer had scarlet hair. Instead, his hair was completely black. The demons merely frowned slightly and did not think too much about it. Even if they racked their brains, none of them would be able to imagine that there was an earth-shaking secret of 2 essence spirits behind the change in his hair color. Although Purple Thunderstorm and Purple Thunder Shield were both Dharmic arts of human cultivators, demonic she rumbled around Zimo, and the demons could not differentiate when his Dharmic arts were released. In the blink of an eye, the 3 Territorial Lords and 6 fiend demons occupied different directions and encircled Zimo. All of them had cold, murderous gazes. It was as though all 9 fiend demons had the same thoughts. I have to admit that you're indeed qualified to be my opponent, Solitary Cloud said in a deep voice. M.O., aren't you going to revert to your true form? Zimo smiled indifferently. You're not qualified to see my true form. I'm not qualified. Solitary Cloud was so furious that he broke into laughter instead. You truly don't know that you're on the brink of death. Tisk, TSK, TSK. The Territorial Lord of Cyclone Cave laughed sinisterly. Junior, I don't care what your true form is. Even if you're a pure-blooded ferocious beast, you're not going to get another chance. Lowlife, join my child in hell. The Territorial Lord of Black Sand Ridge hollered. The moment he said that, bright glows shone from the glabellas of the 9 fiend demons. One after another, frightening spirit consciousness fluctuations spread through the voids with a rampant might. Against the envelopment of the spirit consciousness, the demons fighting below stopped. All of them shivered in fear. Some of the cowardly ones even sprawled on the ground motionlessly. If they were struck by any of the spirit consciousnesses, they would die immediately without any chance of escape. In the cultivation world, there was the saying that life and death was determined by a single thought. In truth, that statement meant that powerful cultivators could kill their opponents instantly with a single thought using their spirit consciousnesses. Territorial Lord, watch out! Those are Essence Spirit secret skills! Black Wolf was shocked when he saw that, and reminded hurriedly. Fights between Essence Spirits were the most dangerous. Even among mid-level fiend demons, they would not release their Essence Spirit secret skills casually. First, there was no guarantee of victory in a fight between Essence Spirits. Even if they did win, it would be an immense loss if their Essence Spirits were injured because of it. Essence Spirits were way harder to heal compared to the physical body if they were injured. There were many medicinal herbs meant for external and internal injuries. If the physical body was injured, it would recover completely within a couple of years at most. However, there were extremely few medicinal herbs that could be used to heal the Essence Spirit. If an Essence Spirit was injured, some people may not be able to heal it even if they spent their entire lives, let alone a couple of years. Their cultivations would even be implicated because of that. It was extremely common for one's cultivation realm to be stuck because of that. That was the reason why either Black Sand Ridge nor Cyclone Cave chose to fight a war of attrition instead of fighting with their Essence Spirits right from the start despite their advantage. The outcome was as they had expected as well. Black Wolf and Chanri's Dharmic powers were depleted and their Essence Spirits took a huge toll. Even if they wanted to fight to the death with their Essence Spirit secret skills, they did not have the strength to do so. However, a variable happened. This variable was so great that it turned the tides of the entire battle. They became the passive parties. Right now, they were forced to use their Essence Spirit secret skills even. The territorial lords of Black Sand Ridge and Cyclone Cave stood high and above as they glared down at Su Zimo coldly. Their gazes seemed as though they were looking at a dead man. By this point of the battle, they had already deduced that although Su Zimo was a low-level fiend demon, his bloodline was definitely unusual and his essence spirit was strong. However, no matter how strong his essence spirit was, there was no way he could defend against spirit consciousness attacks and essence spirit secret skills. Furthermore, 9 mid-level fiend demons were attacking at the same time. No matter how much of a variable he created, he was going to be killed. Solitary Cloud looked at Su Zimo with a conflicted expression. In truth, within the depths of his heart, he still had the idea of suppressing Su Zimo with his own strength. He wanted to subdue the latter as his mount. He could even take the treasure of the dragon race in this man's possession for himself. However, that wish was probably dashed by this point. This man would definitely die from the essence spirit secret skills. If he wanted to snatch away the treasure of the dragon race, he might even have to undergo a bitter battle with Black Sand Ridge and Cyclone Cave. Chapter 831 Essence Spirit Fight. Chapter 831 Essence Spirit Fight. Su Zimo stood in midair with a grim expression. Indeed, this was the most dangerous moment for him. His bloodline was frightening, and his physique was strong. Even the Dharmic arts that he cultivated were top tier, and were heaven-grade cultivation techniques from the immortal and Buddhist Das. However, no matter how strong his bloodline and physique were, they could not withstand the power of essence spirits. The physical body would not be wounded by a spirit consciousness attack. It was a lethal move that was targeted right at the essence spirit. Only an essence spirit can defend itself in a fight between essence spirits. There were also some extremely rare essence spirit Dharmic weapons that could do the job. Furthermore, Su Zimo was only at early stage nascent soul. Even if his 2 essence spirits were to fuse, he could not compare to the essence spirits of 9 fiend demons. Su Zimo knew that the crisis of Howling Moon Mountain would only be truly resolved if he could tide through this predicament. In this moment of exceptional danger, Su Zimo did something out of the blue. He closed his eyes all of a sudden. All the demons were in an uproar. To them, Su Zimo's actions were akin to giving up. he was surrendering and awaiting death. What the demons did not know was that Su Zimo had not only closed his eyes, he had even restricted his sixth senses. At this moment, his mind calmed down. It was as though he had entered a state where he was communicating with the universe and his physical body had vanished entirely. Su Zimo relied on his spirit perception entirely to sense everything in his surroundings. Through his senses, the 9 spirit consciousness attacks took on various forms. There was a Wyrm, a scorpion, a blood bat, and everything came instantly from different directions. Among them, 4 spirit consciousnesses were clearly stronger than the rest. Su Zimo realized that the 4 spirit consciousness attacks were triggered using Essence Spirit secret skills. The other 5 were ordinary spirit consciousness attacks. Within his spirit consciousness, the scarlet-haired spirit stood and approached the black-haired essence spirit before fusing with the latter. The only way to defend against this terrifying attack was through the fusion of the 2 essence spirits. At the same time, a series of bedazzling golden glows extended through Su Zimo's left wrist with a single thought from him. They shone in a divinely light and formed an indestructible barrier around his body. The barrier could not defend against the lethality of Dharmic arts and weapons. However, it could defend against spirit consciousness attacks. Hum! 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 Almost at the same time, 9 spirit consciousness attacks struck the golden barrier. Ripples surfaced one after another on the barrier, resembling a water surface. The 5 ordinary spirit consciousness attacks were stopped. However, the other 4 that contained the power of Essence Spirit secret skills smashed onto the golden barrier, and created ripples that extended rapidly. The golden barrier came from the Mingwang prayer beads. The Mingwang prayer beads was the treasure that supported Daming Monastery's foundation. This was naturally not the extent of its true power. However, the Mingwang prayer beads on Su Zimo's left wrist right now was a damaged Dharmic weapon. Furthermore, Su Zimo was restricted by his cultivation realm and was unable to refine this Dharmic weapon properly. As such, he was only able to utilize 30% of its power at best. Boom! In the blink of an eye, the golden barrier shattered. The Mingwang prayer beads went dim. The 4 spirit consciousnesses surged right into Su Zimo's body and barged into his spirit consciousness, resembling feral, hungry beasts. Among them were the spirit consciousnesses of the Black Sand Ridge, Cyclone Cave and Ghastly River Territorial Lords. The 2 essence spirits were already fused completely within his spirit consciousness. On the green lotus platform, a brand new essence spirit sat in a lotus position. He had a cold expression and his hair was split in the middle, scarlet and black, while his left eye was bloodshot and his right eye was pitch black. Although it was in the form of an infant, it exuded a proud aura and a dominance that had survived history. The moment it sensed the intrusion of the 4 spirit consciousnesses, the essence spirit rose. The spirit consciousness in the surroundings seemed to have converged into an ocean and shone with a resplendent light that rumbled furiously. Get lost! The essence spirit stood on the lotus platform and roared, creating raging tides within the spirit consciousness. Boom! An incomparably powerful spirit consciousness fluctuation burst forth with the green lotus platform as the center. The 4 spirit consciousnesses collided against Su Zimo's spirit consciousness. 2 of the spirit consciousnesses drowned instantly. The remaining 2 spirit consciousnesses were unusually savage and tore through the layers of raging tides to try and fiercely devour Su Zimo's spirit consciousness. One of them was a grisly blood bat with bloodshot eyes. Its mouth widened, exposing its sharp fangs as it chomped down on Su Zimo's essence spirit. All of a sudden, the 9 lotus holes on the lotus platform released rays of light that curved in a beautiful arc and circled around Su Zimo's essence spirit continuously. Poof! 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 The 9 rays of light clashed against the bloodbat continuously. Although the 9 rays of light were dispersed, holes appeared on the bloodbat one after another as well. Before it could reach Su Zimo's essence spirit, the bloodbat essence spirit dissipated. In the blink of an eye, there was only 1 spirit consciousness left. This spirit consciousness was a thumb-sized Wyrm and was the most powerful. It charged the entire way and finally closed in. This was none other than the essence spirit secret skill of the Territorial Lord of Ghastly River, Solitary Cloud. The long hair of Su Zimo's essence spirit danced without wind. Divine lights shone forth one after another from its black and red eyes. Instantly, scarlet scales appeared on the essence spirit's body and wrapped it tightly within. The spirit consciousness's dragon scales. This was something that was created from the cultivation of the mystic classic of the 12 demon kings of the great wilderness. With these spirit consciousness dragon scales, Su Zimo's essence spirit was able to roam the outside world without fear of the elements even though he was at nascent soul realm. The Wyrm spirit consciousness opened its mouth and devoured Su Zimo's essence spirit into its belly fiercely. However, immediately after, the Wyrm spirit consciousness writhed within Su Zimo's spirit consciousness as though it was in extreme turmoil. Rays of scarlet light spilled out of the Wyrm spirit consciousness's body and intensified, growing clearer. Finally, the Wyrm blazed in flames. In the blink of an eye, it vanished into emptiness. Su Zimo's essence spirit resurfaced and was considerably dimmer. It was clear that the toll on it was immense. However, the essence spirit's eyes shone with excitement. It had resolved the attack of the 9 spirit consciousnesses. His trump cards were thoroughly expended for it. Apart from the Mingwang prayer beads and the spirit consciousness dragon scales, the creation green lotus was protected by its 9 rays of resplendent lights. This was an amazing aspect of the creation green lotus that Su Zimo discovered for the past 6 months. Above the skies of Howling Moon Mountain, Su Zimo opened his eyes and revealed a faint smile. The 9 mid-level fiend demons around him were rooted on the spot with frozen expressions, as though they had lost their souls. The demons were all confused. Although the fight of the essence spirits was long upon narration, everything ended within the blink of an eye. The only thing the demons saw was 9 divine lights surging towards Su Zimo. 5 of them were dispersed while 4 of them shot into Su Zimo's glabella. Immediately after, the world went silent. Su Zimo opened his eyes with a faint smile. The 9 mid-level fiend demons had stricken expressions. Could they have lost? 9 mid-level fiend demons were unable to kill this man with a combined spirit consciousness attack? The territorial lords of Black Sand Ridge and Cyclone Cave had terrible expressions. In reality, they lost connection with their spirit consciousnesses the moment they entered Su Zimo's body and they did not know what happened. However, Solitary Cloud's spirit consciousness was the last to disperse. Through Su Zimo's glabella, he sensed a faint aura of the dragon race. I've got it! That treasure of the dragon race must be a spirit consciousness Dharmic weapon that is hidden within this man's spirit consciousness. Solitary Cloud was enlightened. Chapter 832 Appearance of a True Dragon? Chapter 832 Appearance of a True Dragon? The 9 fiend demons were unnerved and had not snapped out of their stupor. However, Su Zimo had already attacked. By this point of the battle, the 9 mid-level fiend demons no longer posed any threat to him. Splash! Su Zimo circulated his blood chi and the sound of tsunami tides surged within his body in a terrifying manner. The demons were shocked when they heard that sound. Tsunami blood. He had cultivated his bloodline to its limits. Solitary Cloud had a grim expression. Although he was a pure-blooded ferocious beast with a noble bloodline, he had not cultivated to that stage yet. Swash! Su Zimo had already vanished from the spot. Because his speed was too fast, a series of afterimages lingered for a long time in midair. Bang! A mid-level fiend demon was momentarily distracted and felt a devastating power that sent his massive body flying instantly. While he was still in midair, he exploded into a blood mist and dyed the mountains red. Another mid-level fiend demon had fallen. There were 8 remaining. The territorial lord of Black Sand Ridge had a cold gaze as he waved his sharp scorpion tail that was laced with poison. He charged towards Su Zimo and hollered, "Kill! This man has treasures from head to toe." His death will be a great opportunity for all of us. The Territorial Lord of Cyclone Cave said frostily as well. Solitary Cloud said nothing as he rode through the clouds. He had already charged towards Suzumo with a roar. Under the lead of the 3 Territorial Lords, the remaining 5 mid-level fiend demons lunged forward once again. Bang! 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 8 gigantic fiend demons encircled Suzumo. Suzumo was comparatively smaller, like an ant. However, every single move he made possessed terrifying power of blood chi as he countered the attacks of the 8 fiend demons completely. None of these fiend demons were his match in melee combat. Figures weaved and maneuvered around one another. After a single exchange, the 8 fiend demons felt as though their bones were on the verge of snapping and their bodies felt like splitting apart. Solitary Cloud looked even more wretched. He was indignant and charged to the front and took Suzumo on with 2 punches. In the end, a few of his claws were snapped and he was in unendurable pain. Black Sand Eclipse! The Territorial Lord of Black Sand Ridge howled. His essence spirit was channeled to its limits as he released the secret skill of the Scorpion race. A black sandstorm surged around him that blanketed the skies. The sand seemed like it was ordinary. However, every single sand particle was formed with Dharmic power and possessed toxic poison. If ordinary demon beasts were to consume the black sand, they would transform into pitch-black skeletons and their flesh would rot within 10 seconds. This was a demonic art that the young master of Black Sand Ridge released previously as well. However, Suzumo dispelled it without even a scratch on him. Although the Territorial Lord of Black Sand Ridge was also a mid-level fiend demon, the Dharmic power of his demonic art was way stronger, and it was clear that its power was a few levels higher. Suzumo furrowed his brows slightly. His 2 essence spirits were exhausted after the essence spirit fight, and it was difficult for him to release any Dharmic art for defense. However, the Black Sand Eclipse was extremely lethal and he might get injured if he tried to defend with his physical body alone. A look of conviction flashed through Suzumo's eyes. Since that's the case, it's time to bring an end to things. Suzumo reared his head into the skies and roared. I'll show you guys what I can do as well. Before his sentence was completed, scarlet demonic chi circled around him and swiftly created ancient demons one after another. They were lifelike with shuddering gazes and menacing fangs and claws. There was a wild bovine, stone bear, sanguine ape, anaconda, divine steed, hell tiger and wind leopard. The 7 demons were massive in size and had frightening auras. Some of them were more than 100 feet tall, some of them were more than 100 feet long. All of them were murderous as they glared forward with bloodshot eyes. Surrounded by the 7 ancient demons, although Suzumo was much smaller in size, it seemed as though he was the sole ruler within the universe that was unparalleled. What is that? What is up with those demon beasts? Goodness! What's the true form of this man? How are there so many demon beasts? A series of exclamations sounded from above and beneath Howling Moon Mountain. Beneath the firmaments, the 7 demons stood in midair and looked down at everyone, as though they had lived through eternity, and had arrived here by going against the tides of time. The demons were shocked. The demon beasts present did not have the experience to recognize this as a bloodline phenomenon. Only Solitary Cloud could recall some sparse descriptions from the depths of his memories. Instantly his face turned incomparably pale and he looked flustered. Bloodbat Sonar Realm! The Territorial Lord of Cyclone Cave's eyes were bloodshot and murderous. He could not be bothered any longer, as he released a secret skill. Sonar Realm was a secret skill unique to the bat race. If one was caught unprepared, their eardrums would shatter the moment the secret skill was released. In fact, weaker demon beasts might have their essence spirits destroyed by the Sonar Realm. Within the void, ripples surfaced. The Sonar Realm's secret skill had already materialized and was surging towards Suzumo with a boundless killing intent. Suzumo's gaze was indifferent, and he was motionless as he opened his mouth. The 7 demons surrounding him opened their mouths as well, mimicking him. Roar! A roar echoed from the mouths of Suzumo and the 7 demons, surging forward at the same time with enough power to devour mountains and rivers. The Territorial Lord of Cyclone Cave's Sona realm looked insignificant compared to the roar and dissipated into emptiness instantly. The 8 fiend demons in the surroundings shuddered. There's some low-level fiend demons beneath that did not manage to dodge in time. Their lips, eyes, nostrils, and ears oozed with blood in a horrific manner. The spirit demons across the mountains were even sprawled on the ground, shivering in fear. Solitary Cloud shuddered and stirred awake from his slumber. His ears buzzed and ringed in pain as he looked towards Suzimo instinctively. "Go!" Suzimo hollered, and the 7 ancient demons around him charged forward. One of the mid-level fiend demons' mind went blank from the shock and he had a lost expression. The Hell Tiger charged forward and chomped off the former's head with a single bite, killing him along with his essence spirit. The 7 demons charged towards the 7 mid-level fiend demons. Solitary Cloud was the only one without a demon charging towards him. However, right as Solitary Cloud was looking at Suzimo, the latter turned and met his gaze. Immediately after, Solitary Cloud caught sight of something that shocked him. Suzimo had a cold gaze. Behind him, there was a long, slender figure of a demon beast. It was faintly visible and coiled around his neck as it spiraled upwards. It was the 8th demon! The figure of the Demon King was formed and it resembled both a Wyrm and an anaconda. However, its appearance was blurry and it could not be seen extremely clearly. Could that demon be a Wyrm? Before Solitary Cloud's thought was finished, he looked beneath the abdomen of the 8th demon, and his gaze gradually froze. There were 4 claws beneath the abdomen of the demon. Wyrms were born with 2 feet. True dragons had 4 feet. Immediately after, Solitary Cloud's pupils constricted. Sinisterly, scales appeared one after another on the surface of that person and covered his body instantly. "Psst!" Solitary Cloud gasped with a stricken expression as a frightening possibility crossed his mind. There was no treasure from the dragon race. There was only a true dragon. The aura of the dragon race was emanated from the true dragon before him. It was no wonder why this person was so strong in combat, and possessed such a terrifying bloodline. It was no wonder why this person had brazenly declared that a Wyrm like him was not qualified to witness the person's true form. The lifelong dream of Wyrms was to turn into dragons. And now, he had witnessed a true dragon. Thud! Solitary Cloud was so frightened that he knelt onto the ground with a thud. Chapter 833 Subdued. Chapter 833 Subdued. The descent of the bloodline phenomenon crushed the final hopes of the Territorial Lords of Black Sand Ridge and Cyclone Cave. The 2 Territorial Lords were scared out of their wits completely. These capabilities were beyond their understanding of things. Without hesitation, the 2 of them chose to escape right away. When their Territorial Lords ran, the remaining mid-level fiend demons could not be bothered and turned to flee as well. However, the 2 Territorial Lords were the first to react, and their speeds were faster than the others as well. Both of them managed to flee from the area of effect of the bloodline phenomenon by a hair's breadth. The remaining mid-level fiend demons were not so lucky. When the wild bovine, sanguine ape, and the other demons charged forward, all of them were killed. Their flesh splattered everywhere in a tragic manner, and their essence spirits were extinguished on the spot. Although for some unknown reason, on the other side of the battlefield, the Territorial Lord of Ghastly River was kneeling on the ground with indescribable fright, nobody could take notice of that by this point of the battle. The Territorial Lords of Black Sand Ridge and Cyclone Cave had the same idea and both fled in different directions. The Territorial Lord of Black Sand Ridge returned to his human form. His massive scorpion form was inconvenient for his escape among the dense forest with tall trees. On the contrary, after he was in his human form, he became much more agile and was a smaller target. Swish! The Territorial Lord of Black Sand Ridge sprinted with all his might and felt the wind howl beside his ears. His back felt cold and was drenched with sweat. Once I return to Black Sand Ridge, I'll definitely gather powerful experts and return once again. He had a wrathful expression and howled in his heart. He was a territorial lord and had reigned over Black Sand Ridge for several thousand years. Naturally, he was well connected and knew many powerful experts. There was no way he was going to let things go easily after the immense loss this time round. As he fled, his essence spirit throbbed in pain due to the prolonged intense toll it undertook. Even so, the feeling of danger behind him did not vanish and followed him like a shadow. Furthermore, it felt even more pressing. Could he have caught up to me? The territorial lord of Black Sand Ridge could not help but turn back. That single turn scared him out of his wits and his legs went limp. Not far behind him, a purple thunderbolt was surging forward at an extremely fast speed like a flash of lightning. The distance between the two of them was decreasing rapidly. Although he could not see it clearly, the territorial lord of Black Sand Ridge knew that the purple thunderbolt was none other than the demon beast named Mo. Purple Escape. It was an escape technique from the Purple Thunder Manual. Although this escape technique's burst power and speed could not compare to Blood Escape, the good thing about it was that it did not have any sequelae on the body. "Sir, please spare me!" The territorial lord of Black Sand Ridge suddenly paused in his tracks and spun around when he realized that he could not escape. He cowed out in Suzumo's direction and shouted, "I'm willing to submit to you!" The two of them were extremely close. The territorial lord of Black Sand Ridge was scared out of his wits with a flustered expression, looking as though he had given up completely. If it was anyone else, they would have let their guard down at that moment. However, the moment the territorial lord of Black Sand Ridge spoke, he coiled his tongue and a streak of black light shot out. It carried a repulsive stench and burst towards Suzumo's face. In truth, the Dharmic weapon that was taken away by the mystic magnet mountain was not his destined Dharmic weapon. This black poison needle was. This black poison needle was refined day and night using the most toxic poison within his body, the poison of his scorpion tail. The poison was something that even pure-blooded ferocious beasts could not withstand. With this move, he managed to escape from the brink of death countless times by killing his opponents instead. There were many mid-level fiend demons within the vast Thousand Demon Valley. There was no way he could become a territorial lord without some capabilities. His method might have worked against others. Unfortunately, it was useless against Suzumo. Suzumo cultivated the mystic classic of the 12 demon kings of the great wilderness and possessed his spirit perception. He sensed danger the moment the territorial lord of Black Sand Ridge turned around. Suddenly, a blinding glow shot forth from his right eye, resembling a blazing sun. Instantly, the rainwater around them evaporated. It was the visual technique, Illumination Dragon Eye. A column of light tore through the void through the black poison needle in midair, and pierced through the territorial lord of Black Sand Ridge's head entirely. The distance between the two of them was too close. In other words, the territorial lord of Black Sand Ridge could not dodge that killing move at all. No blood dripped down. The area around the wound was burned up. The glow of the black poison needle dimmed as it fell. Even a destined Dharmic weapon was useless against the attack of Illumination Dragon Eye. The territorial lord of Black Sand Ridge's eyes were widened. His expression carried the same menace right before he launched the ambush, but there was a hint of pity within his eyes. He had truly not expected his killing move to be countered by Suzumo so easily. Less than that, he had not expected that he would die in the blink of an eye. A territorial lord had fallen. He would no longer have the chance to return to Black Sand Ridge. Suzumo had a cold expression as he waved his robes. He collected the territorial lord of Black Sand Ridge's storage bag and turned to leave without looking at the corpse. He had to settle the territorial lords of Cyclone Cave and Ghastly River still. With lightning speed, Suzumo vanished from the spot and disappeared into the forest. The moment they arrived in the air above Howling Moon Mountain, Black Wolf and Chanri closed in. Both of them had odd expressions and wanted to speak but stopped. The solitary cloud of territorial lords stood beside the two of them. Suzumo furrowed his brows slightly. Was Solitary Cloud trying to threaten him by holding Black Wolf and Chanri hostage? Before that thought was finished, Solitary Cloud took the first step to walk towards Suzumo. With a thud, he knelt on one knee and cupped his fists. Territorial Lord, I am willing to be your underling and lead all the river demons of Ghastly River to submit to you. Suzumo was about to speak when Solitary Cloud flipped his palm, revealing a weak essence spirit within. It was a blood-colored bat. Solitary Cloud said with a respectful expression, Territorial Lord, this was the blood bat of Cyclone Cave that escaped earlier. I've already captured it. Suzumo raised his brow. This Wyrm was interesting indeed. Not only did the Wyrm submit to him, the former even captured the Territorial Lord of Cyclone Cave that had escaped. Solitary Cloud asked, Territorial Lord, how should we deal with this bat? Kill it. Suzumo waved his hand. Without hesitation, Solitary Cloud exerted strength with his palm and crushed the essence spirit of the Territorial Lord of Cyclone Cave. Without Suzumo's command, Solitary Cloud did not rise and merely knelt obediently before him. Black Wolf and Chan-Ri exchanged glances. Both of them could see the shock in the other's eyes. Solitary Cloud's attitude towards Suzumo was strange. It did not seem as though he had submitted due to Suzumo's strength. Instead, it seemed as though there was a sense of reverence and fear from the depths of his heart. Both of them were confused. Although outsiders typically have a clearer view of the situation, the two of them were utterly puzzled. Both parties were fighting earlier on. All of a sudden, one party knelt in fright and kowtowed. Suzumo gazed at Solitary Cloud with a deep look in his eyes. Solitary Cloud's expression was respectful and not hypocritical at all. On account that Solitary Cloud's bloodline and combat strength was decent, Suzumo waved it off. Rise. From this day forth, you shall be one of the deputy territorial lords of Howling Moon Mountain. Understood. Solitary Cloud was delighted and rose. Notwithstanding the submission of Ghastly River's territorial lord, the territorial lords of Black Sand Ridge and Cyclone Cave had fallen and both those territories had no owners. Suzumo intended to include those two territories under Howling Moon Mountain, and right now, he was lacking assistance like Solitary Cloud. Chapter 834 100 years later. Chapter 834 100 years later. After the battle, corpses were strewn everywhere in a devastating sight. However, the demon beasts of Howling Moon Mountain that survived were excited as they collected various trophies of war from the ground. They had won this battle. Initially, Howling Moon Mountain was on the verge of destruction. However, with the arrival of one person, the tides had changed entirely. The demons reared their heads and looked at the figure on the mountain peak of Howling Moon Mountain with reverence in their eyes. There was an indescribable fervor in their gazes. In the world of demons, their belief was that the strong reigned supreme. After this battle, the rise of Howling Moon Mountain was inevitable, and no one would be able to stand in its way. The Rat King puffed his chest proudly as he walked through the crowd with an impressive strut. From time to time, lesser demons would close in with pandering expressions and offer him spoils of war. He had the right to be proud indeed. No matter what, he was the one that brought Suzumo here from the ancient battlefield. Among the demons, he was also the first to make acquaintance with Suzumo. That fact alone gave him an unshakable status among the demons. On the mountaintop, Monkey, the spirit tiger, and Ching descended with blood all over their body. Some were theirs and some were from other people. Che, amazing! Monkey smacked his lips and grinned, as though he could not feel any pain on his body at all. There was finally a great battle that could satisfy him after he became a fiend demon. Along with the spirit tiger and Ching, the three of them hunted down fiend demons of Black Sand Ridge and Cyclone Cave for dozens of kilometers and had only just returned. Although Little Fox had already adapted to life in the jungle, she did not like to kill. She did not chase after the demon beasts of the two territories that fled and returned to Suzumo's side a long time ago. Go and rest to recuperate first. Suzumo smiled. There might be more battles in time to come. He was already prepared to head to Black Sand Ridge and Cyclone Cave and claim the territories under his command. Be it territorial lords or overlords, it would naturally be better for them if they occupied more territory. The greater their territory, the more the demon beasts under their command. This also meant that they would gain access to even more resources such as natural minerals, materials, spirit herbs and treasures. Territorial Lord, thank you for protecting Howling Moon Mountain. Black Wolf bowed deeply towards Suzimo. Without Suzimo, the outcome of the battle today would have been starkly different. Howling Moon Mountain would have ceased to exist, divided by Black Sand Ridge, Cyclone Cave and Ghastly River. But now, not only has Ghastly River submitted, the territory of Howling Moon Mountain has expanded by more than twice. At that thought, Black Wolf turned to look at Solitary Cloud instinctively. It was understandable why the territorial lords of Black Sand Ridge and Cyclone Cave were defeated. It was because they were weak. Among them, the territorial lord of Ghastly River behaved the strangest. The other two territorial lords bore a semblance of hope and turned to flee. However, this guy chose to submit right away. At that moment, Solitary Cloud said, Territorial Lord, you seem to always be alone. Don't you have a mount yet? No. Suzimo shook his head without thinking too much. That's good. Solitary Cloud was delighted and hurriedly said, Territorial Lord, let me be your mount. Black Wolf and Chan Rui were both pondering about why Solitary Cloud would submit, and whether the latter possessed any devious intentions. However, their jaws nearly fell to the ground when they heard that. This was not just a mere submission. He was almost sprawled onto the ground completely. Where in the world would there be a demon beast that would offer to be a mount for someone else? It might be understandable if they were facing a supreme expert or some overlord, but this was a low-level fiend demon right before them. It's fine. Suzimo waved it off. You are the Deputy Territorial Lord of Howling Moon Mountain. It will lower your status significantly if you become my mount. It's fine, it's fine. Solitary Cloud waved it off as well. I won't be a Deputy Territorial Lord then. I'll just be your mount. Both Black Wolf and Chan Rui were stunned. Solitary Cloud was the most prideful loner in the region. As a pure-blooded ferocious beast, he was indeed qualified to have that attitude. However, what was happening here? Wasn't the difference in his attitude before and after way too great? Could he have some immense benefit to gain by being the mount of the Territorial Lord? It was a fleeting thought, and neither of them thought too much about it. In truth, there was indeed an immense benefit for Solitary Cloud to be Suzimo's mount. After Solitary Cloud deduced Suzimo's true form, he garnered that he could accompany the latter and cultivate together with him if he became the latter's mount. Even if he could only absorb a trace of aura from the dragon race, it would provide an unimaginable benefit for Solitary Cloud's cultivation. The dragon race. That was the existence that once reigned over the primordial era. In Solitary Cloud's mind, he imagined that as someone from the dragon race, Suzimo must have come to this random small place to become a territorial lord just to have some fun. Once he had his fill of fun, he would definitely return. If Solitary Cloud could follow Suzimo along to return to the sacred land of the dragon race, the possibility of his dragonification would be much greater. Suzimo mulled for a moment, and had already guessed Solitary Cloud's thoughts. Are you sure? He gave a faint smile with an odd gaze. Definitely. I won't regret it. Solitary Cloud nodded hurriedly. I'm willing to lay down a blood oath and follow you for life. There's no need. Suzimo waved it off and interrupted him. If you're willing to do it, we'll follow your intentions. Thank you, Master. Solitary Cloud had already changed his way of addressing Suzimo. Your status as a Deputy Territorial Lord shall remain unchanged. Head back, recuperate and prepare to attack Black Sand Ridge and Cyclone Cave, Suzimo said deeply. Understood. Solitary Cloud bowed in response. Suzimo stood at the top of the mountain with Monkey, the spirit tiger, Little Fox and Ching Ching behind him. His scarlet hair rested on his shoulders as he looked into the distance with a deep gaze and murmured. From this day forth, the 5 of us siblings are going to start ruling over the vast forests. Suzimo gazed into the north with a hint of sorrow in his eyes. He was far from his homeland and would most likely not be able to return within a short period of time. Ching, hurry, look! I painstakingly dug this beautiful pearl necklace personally from a corpse. It's extremely compatible with you. Get lost! You disgust me. Foo, brother tiger, you sure won't know how to coax a girl, Foxy quipped in a teasing manner. The sorrow in Suzumo's eyes dissipated when he heard the laughter around him, and he gave a suave smile. At the very least, he won't be bored in the future with Monkey, the spirit tiger, Ching, and Little Fox around him. A storm was destined to befall Thousand Demon Valley because of the 5 of them. A month later, the army of Howling Moon Mountain was split into 2, led by Suzumo and Solitary Cloud respectively to conquer Black Sand Ridge and Cyclone Cave. Solitary Cloud fought against the demons of Cyclone Cave for half a day, and the latter submitted. Suzumo descended upon Black Sand Ridge and killed half of the Black Scorpion race, leading to an instant submission by the demons of Black Sand Ridge. Thereafter, in less than half a year, Howling Moon Mountain merged Black Sand Ridge and Cyclone Cave completely, and the territory under their command on the maps expanded rapidly. The name of Howling Moon Mountain spread wildly. In the days after, Howling Moon Mountain engaged in a few more conquests against the territories in the vicinity, and everything concluded in victory. The territory of Howling Moon Mountain expanded once again. The name of the Mo demon was renowned. Many experts came in reverence of the Mo demon and submitted to his might. As such, the strength of Howling Moon Mountain grew even further. Towards the end, Suzumo rarely appeared. Solitary Cloud, Black Wolf, and the other demons held the fort, and that was enough to ensure Howling Moon Mountain's continued development. The sands of time flowed freely. In the blink of an eye, 100 years passed. Chapter 835 Thousand Demon Meet. Chapter 835 Thousand Demon Meet. Howling Moon Mountain's Peak. A figure stood in the breeze with his hands behind his back. His robes fluttered, his scarlet hair danced, and his eyes were clear with a gaze as deep as the ocean. He had refined features and looked like a scholar in his 20s. Time seemed to have left no mark on his face at all. The only hint of age was through the wistful look in his eyes from time to time. Suzumo gazed into the distance with a pensive expression. There was an old saying that the road of cultivation was endless and caused one to lose sight of the world. It was at this moment that he resonated with the idea deeply. 100 years was probably an entire lifetime for mortals in the secular realm. However, for nascent souls with lifespans of 1,000 years, it did not mean much at all. Things were still peaceful in Howling Moon Mountain after 100 years. However, nobody knew if anything major happened within the cultivation world or if any paragons or monster incarnates were born. Suzumo did not know if his old acquaintances were doing well. He had not rested for the past 100 years. Right now, his cultivation realm was at the peak of mid-stage nascent soul realm. This cultivation speed was not considered slow for nascent souls. More importantly, Suzumo's essence spirits had been nurturing the creation green lotus for the past 100 years. Right now, the creation green lotus was at grade 4. A grade 4 creation green lotus was not inferior to a connate perfected Lord Dharmic weapon in terms of strength. Not only that, Suzumo spent most of his effort for the past 100 years researching the ancient book left behind by the mighty figure of Tomb Sect. The ancient book recorded many attempts and methods from predecessors on how mortals without spirit roots should attempt to cultivate. Su Hang's death and the plight of the citizens of Yen country had a huge impact on Suzumo. That was the reason why he laid down a vow that he wanted to establish a Tao and alter the fates of the living beings of the world. His Tao would allow everyone without spirit roots to cultivate so that they can be in control of their own fates. Hai had benefited immensely for the past 100 years. In truth, be it for the immortal, Buddhist, fiend or demon Taoist, the formation of a core was the most important barrier. Suzumo discovered that as long as one broke through from the core formation realm and cultivated an essence spirit, the function of the spirit root was almost negligible. In other words, the spirit root was merely a stepping stone onto the path of cultivation. The more important thing was for people to form golden cores without the existence of a spirit root. Naturally, that was something that could be achieved through demonic cultivation. However, Suzumo could not let the rest of the world follow in his footsteps where they would be ostracized by the most other human cultivators at the end of their cultivations. Suzumo researched the ancient book and made many hypotheses along those lines of thought, gaining deep insights in the process. Of course, he had not given up on the Dharmic arts of the Yin Spirit, Purple Thunder Manual and Great Day Rulai Sutra. He cultivated and comprehended them constantly as well. Right then, a blood-colored light column surged in the distant horizon. It pierced into the clouds and vanished soon after. The blood-light column was extremely far from Howling Moon Mountain, and its exact location was unknown. Suzumo furrowed his brows slightly as he gazed at the dissipated blood light. A familiar sensation surfaced in his mind for a brief moment. "Solitary cloud," Suzumo called softly. In the darkness not far behind him, a figure darted out. It was the original Territorial Lord of Ghastly River and Suzumo's current mount. Solitary Cloud. Solitary Cloud was still a mid-level fiend demon 100 years later. However, his aura was purer and his gaze seemed much sharper. It was clear that he had advanced greatly in his cultivation. Whenever Suzumo cultivated throughout the years, Solitary Cloud watched by the sides. Each time Suzumo cultivated the Yin Spirit section of the mystic classic of the 12 demon kings of the great wilderness, he would exude some aura of the dragon race that provided immense benefits for Solitary Cloud. Suzumo asked, "Do you know what that heavenly piercing blood column earlier was?" "It's most likely from the 1,000-year blood sea," Solitary Cloud replied. "1,000-year blood sea?" Suzumo murmured softly. Solitary Cloud explained. "The 1,000-year blood sea is a lake in the center of the 1,000-demon valley. The reason why it's called a sea is because it has a large surface area and its edges can't be seen with a single gaze. Furthermore, this sea is extremely strange. The color of the sea turns darker as time passes by. At 1,000 years, it will reach its peak and the sea will be as bright red as blood." Suzumo asked again. "What do people know about the 1,000-year blood sea?" Solitary Cloud continued. "It's said that the blood sea gathers the essence, blood, and souls of demon beasts that have fallen for the past 1,000 years. If any fiend demon can cultivate within, they would grow at an astonishing speed." "Huh!" Suzumo raised his brow and asked. "If that's the case, wouldn't the blood sea be a precious place where fights and massacres happen at every moment, since everyone is vying for it?" "That was indeed the case initially." Solitary Cloud nodded. "However, later on, the battles got too miserable and escalated. In fact, even high-level territorial lords fell one after another. Because of that, the 7 great overlords of 1,000 Demon Valley decided to put an end to the war and had everyone share the 1,000-year blood sea. The blood sea opens up once every 1,000 years and there's a total of 10 spots. The 7 overlords will each send territorial lords under their rule to fight for the 10 positions." Suzumo could not help but ask at that point. "Since the 1,000-year blood sea is so amazing, why don't high-level fiend demons head there to cultivate? There's a limit to the power within the blood sea. The boost for high-level fiend demons cultivating there is not significant. For low-level fiend demons, their essence spirits and physical bodies are unable to withstand the power of the blood sea. Therefore, mid-level fiend demons are naturally the most suitable to cultivate there." Solitary Cloud mulled for a moment. "Of course, given your strength, there should be no issue if you enter the blood sea and cultivate within." Suzumo nodded. The soul-nourishing blood ginseng and other spirit refinement consumables he had obtained in the ancient battlefield had long been used up in the past 100 years. Even the grade of the creation green lotus was now at a bottleneck due to Suzumo's cultivation realm. Even if he entered seclusion and cultivated for hundreds or 1,000 years, there might not be any progress for his bottleneck. At times like this, a cultivator had to venture out into the world. The breakthrough can come in the form of an opportunity, or a great battle. Perhaps, one might even be inspired at a foreign place and achieve a sudden breakthrough as well. Through Solitary Cloud's words, the opportunity to cultivate at the 1,000-year Blood Sea was a rare one that must not be missed. However, there were extremely few positions available, and there would definitely be a vicious battle involved if Su Zimo wanted to obtain one. He asked again, "How should I obtain a position to cultivate in the Blood Sea?" "The 1,000 demon meet," Solitary Cloud replied. "A month later, 1,000 demon meet will be hosted in the vicinity of the 1,000-year Blood Sea. At that time, the overlords of 1,000 Demon Valley and many territorial lords will arrive. It's a grand occasion for the demon race." He pondered for a moment and explained, "Lord Mo, if you wish to take part in it, we've got to pay a visit to the overlord in charge of Howling Moon Mountain first." Overlords were above territorial lords. There were 7 overlords in 1,000 Demon Valley. Beneath each overlord was countless territorial lords. Even Solitary Cloud had not met the overlord in charge of Howling Moon Mountain. It was said that the overlord was a demon ape and resided in Ape Chatter Ridge. "All right, we'll head to Ape Chatter Ridge 3 days later." Su Zimo did not hesitate since he had already decided and laid down the orders immediately. Chapter 836 10 Great Territorial Lords. Chapter 836 10 Great Territorial Lords. Su Zimo did not take many people with him for the trip. Apart from Monkey and the other 3, there was Solitary Cloud and the Rat King. Black Wolf and Chanri stayed behind at Howling Moon Mountain to guard over the territory in case other territories tried to seize the opportunity and invade. Solitary Cloud reverted to his true form of a Wyrm, and Su Zimo along with everyone else rode on his back. Because Solitary Cloud was a pure-blooded ferocious beast and a mid-level fiend demon, there were few demon beasts that were foolish enough to rush at them along the way. The group of them crossed mountains and ridges through dozens of territories for many days. After close to half a month, they finally arrived at the vicinity of Ape Chatter Ridge. Before them was a majestic forest. The reason why it was referred to as majestic was because every single ancient tree in the forest before them had existed for a long time. All of them towered into the skies with luscious branches and leaves. They had thick trunks that resembled heavenly piercing pillars and vines coiled around their surfaces like gigantic anacondas. The size of everyone in Su Zimo's group could not even be compared to the thickness of the roots of the ancient trees. There were only slivers of light within the entire forest, and the place seemed eerie. Solitary Cloud reverted to his human form and everyone descended. None of them could conceal the shock in their eyes as they gazed at the forest. Unknowingly, all of them felt an indescribable pressure. Su Zimo asked, "Solitary Cloud, how much do you know about the overlord of Ape Chatter Ridge?" "There are 7 overlords in 1,000 Demon Valley. It's said that this demon ape has held his position for the longest time, possibly more than 5,000 years. Solitary Cloud replied. He had reigned for 5,000 years. Su Zimo's expression turned grim. Overlords were not only high-level fiend demons, but also the strongest existences among high-level fiend demons. Only those with strength superior to their peers could reign over a place. Su Zimo felt uneasy visiting the Overlord out of the blue without knowing anything about the latter. After all, he was at the peak of mid-stage nascent soul realm right now. If he released his trump cards fully, there's a chance for him to fight against mid-level fiend demons that were a major cultivation realm above him. However, against high-level fiend demons, or even the Overlord who was the strongest among the high-level fiend demons, Su Zimo definitely stood no chance at all. During the fight at Ethereal Peak, the old immortal crane broke through her bottleneck and transformed into a high-level fiend demon. At that time, the Azura told Su Zimo that upon becoming high-level fiend demons, demon beasts would awaken their innate divine powers. Spirit energy could not match Dharmic powers. Dharmic powers could not match divine powers. It was an absolute suppression of a different level. Su Zimo gazed at the dark forest before him and said deeply with a bright gaze, "Everyone, our future is uncertain with this trip here to Ape Chatter Ridge. Keep a low profile and don't behave recklessly. It was rare for Su Zimo to instruct everyone as such. Back in Howling Moon Mountain, everyone could behave without restraints. However, this was the Ape Chatter Ridge. The owner of this territory was a high-level fiend demon. Furthermore, there was definitely more than one high-level fiend demon here. Apart from Solitary Cloud, most of them were only low-level fiend demons. The difference was 2 major cultivation realms. If a fight broke out, they could be killed as easily as ants. For sure, for sure! The Rat King nodded hurriedly. His expression was already pale from shock before he entered Ape Chatter Ridge. His purpose of heading here originally was to expand his horizons and experience the 1,000 demon meet. But now, before the 1,000 demon meet even began, he was already feeling regrets when they had to visit an overlord. The spirit tiger extended his finger and prodded Monkey in a teasing manner. Brother Monkey, first is referring to you. Don't be reckless. Get lost. Monkey slapped away the spirit tiger's palm. Even so, he knew that he was indeed the most reckless in their group. Apart from the fact that he knew nothing about Ape Chatter Ridge, the reason why Su Zimo was so cautious was because he had a faint feeling. It was like intuition. He had a feeling that something major was about to happen in Ape Chatter Ridge. Fufu, why are low-level fiend demons from some unknown territory having fun here? Suddenly, a chuckle came not far away. Everyone frowned and turned over. A black wind blew past. After it dissipated, more than 100 fiend demons appeared. All of them had powerful auras and shuddering gazes. These were all mid-level fiend demons. The leader had a scrawny face with thin lips and a long, crooked nose that resembled an eagle. His gaze was extremely sharp, filled with utter disdain. Monkey gripped his fists, and a hint of scarlet flashed through the depths of his eyes as he glared at this person. The spirit tiger and everyone else lamented internally. Trouble came knocking on the door before they even entered Ape Chatter Ridge. The other party had a lot more in numbers and all of them were powerful mid-level fiend demons. If a fight broke out, their chance of victory was slim. Furthermore, it was truly inconvenient to have a conflict without knowing the background of the other party. The spirit tiger and everyone else turned to look at Monkey, afraid that he might start a fight in a moment of rage and ignite a conflict. Monkey took a deep breath and closed his eyes gradually, swallowing his pride. Given his usual personality, he would have charged forward against the other party's provocations right away, unable to endure it. It did not matter how many people were on the other end or what cultivation realms they were. Everything could wait until he fought them to the end. Su Zimo lowered his eyes without saying anything. Sir, the group of puny demons are so frightened that they can't say anything. Sir, you're amazing. Hurry, take a look at that rat demon. His face is ashen, and his legs are shivering. That sure is a cowardly rat, ha ha! The group of demons burst into laughter. Suddenly, Monkey opened his eyes and bared his teeth slightly with a menacing gaze. Right as he was about to speak, the Rat King at the side darted forward in front of Monkey. I am truly way too cowardly, heh? I've made a joke of myself to you great sirs. The Rat King had a look of inferiority, and smiled in a pandering manner. Scram! Don't let us see you again! The eagle-nosed man in the lead waved it off idly with a look of disgust as he sneered. I'm even afraid of dirtying my hands killing puny demons like you guys. Why yes, you're right, sir! The Rat King bowed with a smile. Let's go! The eagle-nosed man beckoned and the group of demons roared in laughter as they entered Ape Chatter Ridge. That seems to be Ingli, one of the 10 great territorial lords. That's right. Apart from him, nobody will dare to be so cocky in Ape Chatter Ridge. I heard that Ingli has a bloodline connection to a great protector of Ape Chatter Ridge. Even without the protector, Ingli's strength is evident. He's most likely among the top 3 of the 10 great territorial lords and probably on the way to advance to a high-level fiend demon. Su Zimo had a calm expression as he listened to the discussions of demon beasts nearby. The spirit tiger, Solitary Cloud and the others were secretly alarmed with a lingering sense of trepidation. Monkey frowned as well. The protectors of Ape Chatter Ridge were starkly different from the protectors of Howling Moon Mountain. Without mistake, the protectors of Ape Chatter Ridge should be high-level fiend demons. To think that we would casually bump into a fiend demon with such a powerful background. Ching Ching sighed. Little Fox asked curiously, "Who are the 10 great territorial lords they are referring to?" "There are several hundred territories under Ape Chatter Ridge, and Howling Moon Mountain is only one of them," Solitary Cloud explained. "Among the several hundred territorial lords, the strongest 10 are referred to as the 10 great territorial lords. This man has already threatened us to head back. If we advance recklessly and bump into them again, I'm afraid." The Rat King had a nervous expression but did not continue speaking. "No worries." Suzumo waved it off and said nonchalantly, "Follow me in." With that said, he led the group into Ape Chatter Ridge. Chapter 837 Arrival of the Overlord. Chapter 837 Arrival of the Overlord. There were more demon beasts after they entered Ape Chatter Ridge, and everyone headed towards a certain direction. There were many forked roads in the forest, and visibility was dim. Although there was no one leading the way, Suzumo's group did not get lost following the group of demons in front of them. "Why are there some low-level fiend demons all of a sudden? Are they here to die? These fiend demons seem to be from Howling Moon Mountain or whatnot. I heard that is the latest territory to rise, and their territorial lord is a low-level fiend demon. Ha! Even a monkey can rule over a mountain without a tiger." Not far away, fiend demons made fun of Suzumo's group and roared in laughter. "Are they blind? Who says that there's no tiger? I'm right here." The spirit tiger grumbled softly. The Rat King gave a gentle cough and consoled. "At the very least, Howling Moon Mountain has made a small name for itself." The group of them continued forward. 2 hours later, the clamor at the front grew clearer. There were people all around and rich demonic chi that surged into the air, almost enveloping the entire forest. Everyone was spirited and hastened with their footsteps. Not long after, they exited the forest, and their vision expanded. A massive flat land appeared within the forest with many fiend demons gathered. Although all of them were in human form, they exuded rumbling demonic chi, and it was unusually lively. A high platform was raised at the front where there were countless roundwood and vines. In the center was a spacious chair draped with a golden tiger skin. Without mistake, that should be the seat of Ape Chatter Ridge's overlord. Suzumo swept his gaze and caught sight of Ing Li's group before long. Ing Li's group stood at the front of the raised platform and was chatting with the fiend demons behind him in high spirits. Apart from Ing Li, 9 other fiend demons stood at the front. Their auras were strong and outsiders did not dare to approach them. Without mistake, the 10 of them should be the 10 great territorial lords. They were probably the only ones qualified to be the closest to the raised platform. The spirit tiger was indignant and mumbled, "If we had known earlier, we should have brought more men here to strengthen our presence." With a single gaze, it could be seen that almost 100 territorial lords were here. Every single territorial lord had at least 100 men with them. Some of the territorial lords even rallied close to 1,000 men and exuded grandeur. Suzumo's group did seem much more pathetic in comparison. Not only were the majority of them low-level fiend demons, there were even less than 10 of them. Suzumo did not squeeze his way forward and stood right at the back of the group of demons. In any case, he could see everything on the raised platform clearly given the prowess of his vision. "We can see the Overlord of Ape Chatter Ridge soon. The thought of it is making me excited." The Rat King rubbed his palms together and said softly as sweat surfaced on the tip of his nose. Under normal circumstances, given his experience, there was no way he could have the opportunity to meet the Overlord unless he cultivated to the realm of a high-level fiend demon. Even if he only managed to catch a mere glimpse of the Overlord of Ape Chatter Ridge for his trip here, it would be enough bragging rights upon his return to Howling Moon Mountain. If he could take part in the 1,000 Demon Meet and see the 7 Overlords of 1,000 Demon Valley, that would be incredible. The Rat King was lost in his imagination when Suzumo's voice suddenly sounded. Here he comes! Huh! Where? The Rat King had a lost expression and looked over but could not see anyone. The other fiend demons laughed and conversed, as though they had not noticed anything. All of a sudden, the expression of the leader of the 10 great territorial lords changed, and he looked into the forest beside him, as though he sensed something. Not long after, 6 figures exited the forest. The leader was an old ape with grayish-white fur. His face was filled with wrinkles, his eyes were hazy, and he walked extremely slowly. In fact, he looked like he was hobbling. The clamor of the demons gradually quietened down. The 10 great territorial lords had various expressions. Some of them sighed. Others shook their heads. Some of them had mocking looks in their eyes. For most of the fiend demons, they were stunned. Even Suzimo's mouth was slightly agape, and he had a surprised look on his face. This old ape was the legendary overlord of Ape Chatter Ridge. This old ape did not possess the dominating might of an overlord and merely looked old and lethargic, as though he was in his twilight years. This old ape did not even seem like he was able to move smoothly. Despite his unwillingness to accept the fact, Suzimo was clear in his heart that this old ape was the overlord of Ape Chatter Ridge. That was because the auras of the 5 figures behind him were simply way too powerful. They were high-level fiend demons. Only high-level fiend demons could exude that sort of overwhelming aura to suppress the entire crowd. It was said that the overlord of Ape Chatter Ridge had 5 protectors. Without mistake, the 5 of them should be the old ape's protectors. It was beyond everybody's expectations. There wasn't any Wyrm mount, green wand, or any grand entrance. This overlord came forth from the forest in an ordinary manner just like that. Step after step, he slowly ascended the raised platform. When he sat on his seat, he let out a long breath, as though the walk took a huge toll on his stamina. Hiss! At the side, Monkey suddenly sighed and said softly, "He looks rather pitiful." Perhaps because they were from the same race, Monkey felt a rare moment of emotion towards this old ape. Although this was an overlord, he could not fight against the sands of time and had to struggle with old age as well. This hero was past his prime. Who in this world could escape death? His past glory and achievements would eventually disappear, drowned in the surging rivers of time. The 5 protectors followed the old ape and ascended the raised platform indifferently. Among them, 2 protectors had odd expressions that vanished fleetingly, seemingly mocking and excited. Suzimo furrowed his brows slightly. Right then, something crossed Suzimo's mind. He had a feeling as though he was being watched by someone. Suzimo turned around instinctively. On the raised platform, the old ape leaned on his chair as he gazed towards this direction with hazy eyes, looking absolutely emotionless. Suzimo's heart skipped a beat. The Mingwang prayer beads could not evade the old ape's detection. Thankfully, the scarlet-haired spirit took the main seat within his spirit consciousness, and exuded a rumbling demonic chi, so he did not have to worry about being exposed. Demons surrounded the depths of Thousand Demon Valley. If his identity as a human was exposed, he would be shredded into pieces by the demons instantly. The old ape glared at Suzimo for a while before shifting his gaze onto Monkey. He glared at Monkey for an even longer duration. A moment later, the old ape retracted his gaze and the wrinkles on his face seemed to have deepened. "Which territory are you from?" suddenly the old ape asked. All the demons were surprised and looked around, not knowing who the old ape was speaking to. Although the old ape no longer looked in his direction, Suzimo knew that the old ape was speaking to them. He raised his voice and replied, "Howling Moon Mountain!" The moment he said that, countless gazes landed on him. Even the 10 territorial lords at the front turned around and gazed at the back. The moment English saw that it was Suzimo's group, he frowned and his expression darkened. "Isn't that the group of low-level fiend demons? How dare they ignore our territorial lord's words and continue here? They truly don't know what's good for them," a fiend demon said softly. You're tuning into the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.